You know what?
I'm a winner. I know how to win.
It is a good morning. We are winners. We know how to win. That's why we are the three-time South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year. It is the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Welcome in, dudes, dudettes, amigos, amiguettes, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, children of all ages. The Hot Rod Brown Show is back and ready to roll on a Thursday morning. I am Rob Brown. Howdy, y'all, on the other side of the metaphorical glass, the guy in charge of this and every radio program you've ever enjoyed anywhere on any station at any point, Colonel Grudge, the Sultan of Swag, the Professor of Perfection, the Wizard of Wave, the content cash cow himself. The great one, Lonzo, is here as well. What up, Zoe?
Please embrace yourself. Prepare for a snowmageddon 2025.
You know,
It's all over, man.
I had a conversation yesterday.
It's coming.
Game over, man.
Game over. I had a conversation yesterday with a dude who used to be the meteorologist.
I knew you were going to say a retired meteorologist.
Yeah.
I knew that was
I
coming.
don't know what to tell you. I got people. Okay. I got people.
I know a retired meteorologist. You're not the only one.
I had a conversation yesterday with a guy who used to be the meteorologist at my old TV station when I worked on WEAR ABC Channel 3 in Pensacola, Florida. Spent 2 years as a local beat reporter there and said, nope, this is regular news is not for me. And I got into a conversation with him.
Decided you wanted to grow a beard, so you left.
That I'm not going to lie. That was a big part of it. That was a big. I was regularly told. My wife to this day, there's nothing more that she loves than like going on YouTube and finding my old news pieces and screen capping different dumb faces that I made on TV and sending them. There's a group thread with me, my wife, her sister, and her sister's husband, my brother-in-law now, the youth of the family. And there's nothing more she loves than finding like dumb expressions I made when I was doing TV back when I had no beard and telling everybody that Rob Brown at 31, whenever I was doing this, Rob Brown looked like a 60-year-old like Baptist youth minister. Because I did. All right. I didn't say I look like I was a member of a Baptist like praise and worship quartet back in the day.
There's still plenty of time for that. You're not 60 yet.
I ain't got the vocals for it. So anyway, I was talking to this cat and I said, it's kind of wild to me because it snowed here just a couple of years ago. And I will acknowledge that when it snowed here a couple of years ago, it was chaos and pandemonium on the streets, man. It was wild. All right.
Those who remained on the streets. Yes.
Yeah. I was driving back. I told the story the other day. The wife and I went up to Asheville to go see snow. Turned out we didn't need to leave our damn backyard, but we were coming back and there were cars in the ditch everywhere. And so I told him, I'm like, it's interesting though to me because that was a few inches of snow. Right now we're projected on Friday evening to get like an inch of snow, right? Like 1 inch of snow. I'm like, everybody's freaking out. And he goes, actually, Rob Brown, there's a pretty good reason. And I was like, oh, okay, person who does this for a living, what's the deal? And he goes, the issue you're going to have is that the temperatures have been down in the, mid to upper 30s, low 40s for a couple of weeks now, right? And I said, yeah. And he goes, it's not the snow that's going to fall. It's the fact that the ground temperature, the actual temperature of the ground is low. He said if it had been in the 40s and 50s for a couple of weeks and then you had like an immediate drop in snow, it wouldn't be a big deal because the ground temperature, he said, but right now the ground temperature is freezing or below. And if the ground temperature is freezing or below, even an inch of snow starts to stack up. And once it stacks up, it does not take that much snow to start compounding into ice. And when it turns into ice, that's where you have a problem. He's like, if it just snows, you're fine. The problem is if it snows and it's been cold for a while, especially in a place, unlike in say, Denver, Colorado, where they kind of know this, and it's cold for weeks and weeks and weeks. So they go out and they salt the roads every day, and they grate the roads to make them more rough and yada, yada, yada.
Which still doesn't help. But people are used to driving there.
It does help.
They did all that stuff in Ohio, and once
at the end of the day, ice is ice. Yeah. I don't care if you're Jeff Dam Gordon. Ice is ice.
It's worse when it's ice under snow, so you don't see the ice, and you will hit patches of it when you're driving over the snow.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter how good of a driver you are. Ice is ice. You're not controlling a car on ice, right? So he said that the fact that the ground temperature has been low for, a week and a half now means that when that snow hits, it's not going to melt off rapidly. It is going to slowly melt. And as it sits on top of itself, that's when it starts to freeze together, compound itself into ice, and that's where you get these ice patches from. He said it's not really how much snow you're going to get. It's the fact that it's going to snow and it has been cold there for a week and a half. And since that's unusual for a place like South Carolina, you're not equipped to go out and do all the prep work to minimize the amount of ice on the roads, right? There's places where when they know it's going to snow and it's going to snow all the time, there are things you can do to the road to minimize the compounding of snow into ice when cars are driving over it. When you're in a place that's not used to this, it's not a priority. It's not something that happens more than every now and then. They don't really have those procedures in place. The point here is
I'm about to be beach guy here. I'm going to be Rob here and go, that's crap. As someone who had to drive through that kind of stuff all the time, they can treat it as much as they
Lonzo,
want.
when did you leave Ohio?
28 years ago.
Yeah, I'm assuming
it has not changed.
Trust me. Okay, Ohio.
In
most areas of the world, 28 years things change.
Do you know how much snow has fallen this week alone?
But here's the other part of it.
I do still have family and friends there.
Yes, I'm aware. My thought here is, for instance, I used to go. I said this earlier in the week.
I'm going to use that in the future. When did you leave the beach, Rob?
Long enough ago to know that we didn't have prep there either. And so the one or two times in my life that it snowed down there enough to stick, it was problematic.
See, you talk about all that treatment of the road. And I remember driving through a blizzard and going into a spin. And while I'm spinning, my friend in the back seat is screaming at the top of his lungs. My friend in the passenger seat goes, "We got this?" Like, yeah, we got this. And we spun into a cornfield. What's going to happen if you don't flip? You're spinning into a cornfield in the middle of winter.
Yeah, it's nice when you're surrounded by cornfields.
No,
we're not in Ohio. There's stuff here. There's things that can be hit.
You've seen where I live. So, it's I probably won't hit corn. I might hit cows. But the whole time he screams, we come to a stop and he's like, "No, what do we do?" And we just drive out of here, and we just drove out of the cornfield. Different vehicle, by the way. When it snows, if it does, I still don't believe it till I see it because they get it wrong so much. If you can stay home, stay home. It's Friday. Get your weekend started early. Hey, boss, and a lot of bosses around here are like, hey, even if they don't come from here, like, just stay off the road. Just stay home.
Here's what I'm going to say. Yes, it's only going to be an inch of snow Friday. It could accumulate up to 4. I am going to go with because
it could be 0.
Because I am a cautious. Yeah, I understand, Lonzo, but let's prep the people for the worst case scenario. I'd rather be, as my old man used to say,
Snowmageddon 2025.
Prep for the worst case scenario, and if it doesn't happen, great. And if it does, you're prepared. So,
a snowflake on your shirt.
I am trying to do a public service here, Lonzo. All right.
I really don't. You don't know what it is either, do you?
It's an iZod logo.
What the heck is that?
It's my favorite golf gear. This is my golfing. Okay. This is my golfing right. QZ. Okay. This is my golfing quarter zip. We broke out the quarter zip today.
All right.
Prepare for the worst. If it doesn't happen, great. You've got extra stuff. If it does happen, you're prepared for it. Here is what I'll say. In speaking with a couple of people who do this for a living, it is absolutely possible that we could get up to 4 inches of snow. It is absolutely possible that because the ground temperature is freezing or below, that snow will stick. And if that snow sticks and people are driving on it, then it is possible that that snow ends up being compounded down into ice. So pay attention to local authorities as they alert you to where there are problematic areas. Pay attention to the weather, even if you're just one of those guys that don't believe the meteorologists and just look out your window and go, okay, it snowed, Lonzo. The point here is be prepared, be ready. JIC, if nothing happens and it doesn't snow, awesome. You got some extra stuff.
All right, so I've never been able to really ask a person this question before, and I'm really looking forward to asking you this. Have you ever been beamed in the dome by a snowball?
You know, we're
no, it's a legitimate question. I mean, you're from Florida.
Yes,
I don't know.
I used to go up to Colorado a time or two a year.
Yeah.
Not really Aspen. Aspen was a little bit out of the price range, even for the 1%. You got to be like the 1% of the 1% to go to Aspen or Vail. We went to a place called Copper Mountain, Colorado.
So no Sonny Bono where you were.
No, we got like Copper was like the home of the C-list celebrities.
Okay.
Copper was where like Chaz would go. Not Sonny, right? Like different
before the transition though, because that was a while ago.
Or after, who cares?
No, I'm just saying. No, we're talking time frame here.
So yes, I have been around snow a lot. I'm not a lot. I didn't live in it, but I've been around snow enough to kind of like I can drive in snow, provided it's just snow. But again, what we collectively, as the Rob Brown Show, a place that concerns itself with and cares about its community in which it broadcasts, would like to enlighten the people and say there is a possibility that it snows, that it sticks, that it is compounded into ice, and that it does become a dangerous situation, even if it doesn't look that way looking out your window.
Stay home unless you work here, then make it to work on time or early, because, I don't want to stay here all day. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, listen, best case scenario for the great one and I is that it doesn't snow at all and we don't have to worry about it. But the reality here is that it is absolutely a possibility.
It wasn't going to start snowing until like between 8 and 10 a.m. We're already here. So it's more, that's the last thing I saw.
It is expected to, if it does start to snow, be tomorrow.
Right.
And into and through the weekend.
Right. But starting like at 8 and 10, between 8 and 10 a.m., unless that's changed. So we're already here and almost done.
With what?
With work.
Right. I'm not. Oh, you mean when the snow starts?
Yes.
Yes, but we are still going to, as we always do, have some level of responsibility to keep the public informed of what's happening.
I'm sorry for thinking of myself.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Do better.
Because here's the thing. If it starts snowing at that time, schools will close and people won't come to work. And that'll be good. And we'll be able to be here and go, hey, it's looking like the North Pole out there. Stay home. Wow, look, it's raining.
As of yesterday, Greenville County schools have said they are closely monitoring the weather predictions for tomorrow. They have not yet, although I assume we will probably get an update sometime in the very near future. They have not yet made a decision about how school is to be handled tomorrow. That will be made closer to the potential weather event when more accurate forecasts and information are available. The school district says that delaying this decision allows the district to determine a plan for school on Friday that maximizes student learning while also minimizing the burden on parents who need supervision for their kids. They will make every effort to make a decision regarding school tomorrow at some point prior to dismissal of school today. As of right now, what we do know is that based on the timing of weather, according to current forecasts, all field trips, athletic events, and activities scheduled for tomorrow and Saturday will be rescheduled as possible. Schools will communicate the details for each of those events as those decisions are made. They have done that to be able to free up buses if they do need early dismissal tomorrow to send students home ahead of the snow showing up if it does. So again, I will update you on the Greenville County school situation when it is announced. As of right now, they have not made an announcement about any changes to school schedules tomorrow, but they are actively monitoring the situation, as are we, to update you when they get updates on any decisions that get made. But again, right now, we do know that field trips, athletic events, and activities that were scheduled for tomorrow or Saturday are being postponed and will be rescheduled at some point down the line.
All right, that's Greenville. Has Spartanburg said anything?
That is a good question. Let's check out the Spartanburg
Spartanburg
school
hey, over
system.
there in the Boig.
As of right now, I am not seeing anything that is different from Greenville right now. So we will have, and we'll get press releases throughout the day when those things are announced to obviously bring to you as those announcements are made. But right now, it seems like everybody's kind of in a holding pattern. As of right this moment, everybody's kind of in a holding pattern about what the decisions are going to be moving forward. So as we get those and as those press releases start to roll in, we will keep you updated as we can as we move closer to what could be a weather event of snow. But for you guys, the listeners, especially that those of you that will have to be out on the roads for work or for whatever else, let's start with this. Please be careful this weekend if we do start to see snow, because, again, the ground temperatures are below freezing, which means that it is easier for that snow to stick. If that snow does begin to stick, then what we will end up, of course, is with the possibility for that snow to begin to compound on itself and turn into ice on the roadway. So be careful, be safe, be smart. If it is snowing, if it does start to accumulate and you don't have to drive, don't. Make it easier on everybody, because the last thing you want is to end up putting your car into a ditch and needing to take emergency services away from anybody else who might need it. Why are you being such a smartass this morning, Lonzo?
It's topic appropriate music. I don't know what you're talking about.
You're gonna feel real bad if this turns into a serious issue.
No, I won't. It's
real bad.
Do you know how many people want it to snow right now? Oh, snow is beautiful.
I kind of do.
This is for those people.
It's been long enough. I think I'm
Don't
over
try to
it.
make me the bad guy here for doing my job.
Snowmageddon 2025.
I've been here for a while, and I've seen the preparations and things for this kind of stuff. And more times than not, it ends up being nothing. It could very well be something, but usually it's not.
All the way home, I'll be warm. And the fire is slowly dying, but my dear, we're still goodbying. All right, we got. Please be careful. All right, jokes aside, Lonzo's jokes aside, not mine. I'm very serious about this topic. This is very important to me and the community I live in.
Are you going to let this go till it's over? I'm trying to take us to break.
Back after this, the Rob Brown Show talks sports next on the Fan Upstate.
Join us for passionate sports talk that's sure to stir the pot. This is the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Oh, I hate going out in the storm.
From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Weather Center, here's the Carolinas most of
But if you really hold me tight,
sunshine today.
all the way home, I'll be warm.
Overnight tonight with a low around 25.
Just give me like a 3-second hesitation, because every once in a while,
And snow and sleet may continue into Friday night, mostly cloudy with a low around 29.
All right, what's our text message poll of the day today, guys?
I'm meteorologist Kara Foster on the Fan Upstate. Currently, it's 26 degrees.
Ow! Sweetie, come here. Don't worry. I see a lot of patients with the exact same thing.
Ever since the ice skating rink went in next door?
Or is it more than
Dr. Clark's business is heating up.
So many patients need my help. How will I find time to see all of them?
They need to hire a scheduler, stat.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
It's Brian Baldinger with the Journey to the Big Game, presented by Hyundai. We will see a host of great games this weekend, one of which being a red-hot Baltimore team hosting a sluggish Pittsburgh team.
I'm going to save the rest of my snow
postseason
songs for
conference
tomorrow in
matchup.
case it's actually
The
snowing.
last three matchups of the weekend will have Green Bay, Washington, Minnesota, all on the road as they look to exact revenge for regular season losses to the respective first-round opponents. Journey to the Big Game.
More than likely, I'll be
presented by
playing
Hyundai.
an
Now,
obscure
you can buy
song
a new
called
Hyundai
Oh
at
No,
Amazon.
It's
Visit
Rain Again.
HyundaiUSA.com for more details.
Sponsored by Rapid Radios.
Super
Rapid
Tramp, I
radios are
believe.
instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. A great alternative to a mobile phone for your kids. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com and you'll get 60% off. Free UPS shipping.
Your job to
Add
me.
Code radio and get an extra 5% off.
The Fan Upstate. Here's how to get in the game. On your radio at 97.7 FM, 1330 AM, Greenville. 97.1 FM, 950 AM, Spartanburg.
Listen on your phone, download the Odyssey app, and search The Fan Upstate.
There's a whole lot more to know about sound if you really want to go into the subject.
Your smart speaker. Just say play 97 The Fan Upstate. On your HD radio at WFBC HD3.
Oh, there's just one more thing.
And on your computer at
TheFanUpstate.com.
Get in the game on the Rob Brown Show.
Only on The Fan Upstate.
So this is a good weekend if you're a hockey fan. Got a lot of good NHL going on. Stick with me here. I'm going to our Twitter text poll of the day. I'm just setting it up. Gotta throw the alley-oop to myself here. Good weekend for the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. They are at the crib tomorrow night for Stick It to Cancer Night, a night that they pay their respects to fighters and survivors, as well as remember those we've lost to cancer and raise some money for cancer research and hopefully one day prevention and extinction. Saturday night, they're doing a concert on the ice afterwards, which is cool. Sunday is they're going to race babies on the ice, which I find beyond hilarious and can't wait to see.
All right, come on, dude. So babies are not actually going to be like crawling on the ice, right?
Well, they'll put like rugs down on it.
Okay. It's still going to be
I know, but it's more fun to say we're going to put babies on the ice.
Yeah,
and race them.
I know, but
objectively hilarious. So here's my question, because it's interesting. For those of you that don't know, I do the on ice in arena emceeing for the team. And I was talking yesterday to some of the guys in the organization about the number of people that come out to these games and blah blah blah. And I got to thinking about it because to me, and I've said this, when I was trying to get this job here, and you got that like 1 week period where you got to actually pretend that you like and believe in yourself. Oh, is that just me? Just me. You got that like 1 week period where you got to pretend like you like and believe in yourself, and you've got to sell yourself to a prospective employer.
So that doesn't happen every day. You don't look in the mirror and go, okay, we got this.
If you could hear the thoughts that happen about me in my head, you would recommend me to a therapist.
We rival each other because mine is like,
I hate myself.
Oh, crap. They're going to figure it out today that I don't belong here. Today's the last one. How am I going to get all my stuff out of the office?
So when I was going through the concept of getting this job, and I was talking with my now boss, Mark, and we were having the conversation. He's like, what do you think you can bring to the station that we don't already have? Right? What do you think you can add to the lineup? And I said, well, I think I can come up there and win like multiple South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year awards, but we'll put that to the side for the minute. One of the things that I told him that I have been most proud of throughout my career is I believe in, I support, I endorse, I engage in, I promote local sports. I try my best to develop a good working relationship with every local sports team. And I think I've done that here, right? I am the in-arena MC for the Greenville Swamp Rabbits. I was for a season for the Drive. I can't do it anymore, unfortunately, because there's just too many weeknight games for a dude who's got to get up at 3:30 in the morning. But I did it for a year for the Drive. I'm still friends with the folks who run that organization. Obviously, I have made myself one of the most visible supporters at Greenville Triumph games. If there's events the Triumph are doing, they frequently call me to come MC and participate in those. As a matter of fact, I'll be on the phone later today with Jason Donnelly, the athletic director at Furman. I've been out to Wofford many times. Like I do my best to dive into, promote, endorse local sports. And so I'm at as many local sporting events as I can get to, right? I go to as many Drive games. I'm at every home Triumph game. I'm at every Greenville Swamp Rabbit home game. I get to as many Furman games and Wofford games as I can. It is something that I have always been very proud of, is my ability to build relationships with the local sports community. So I got into a conversation yesterday because particularly this Saturday night show, they got a guy by the name of Chris Jansen. He's a country music superstar. If you've ever heard that song, Buy Me a Boat, you can buy me a truck to pull it. All right, it was super big for like a very long time, a number of years ago. That's that guy. So after the hockey game on Saturday, they're going to have a full music concert on the ice after the game. And the tickets to this thing are going hot right now, right? Like there's a lot of people who want to go. And we were trying to figure out, like, what's the balance of people who just want to come to a hockey game because it's a Saturday night versus people who saw a country music concert, bought tickets that are going to show up at, 9 o'clock towards showtime. And I got to wondering, how many local sporting events do you guys go to? Like, as individuals, and when I say local, I'm talking Furman, I'm talking Wofford, I'm talking Triumph, I'm talking Drive, I'm talking Swamp Rabbits, I'm talking SC Upstate. When the Spartanburgers kick off, I'll be talking Spartanburgers. How many local sporting events do you guys try to get to? I'm not talking about going down to Clemson. I'm not talking about going over to Columbia. I'm not talking about going up to Charlotte. I'm not talking about going over to Atlanta. I'm talking about right here in the upstate, Greenville, Spartanburg, and the surrounding communities. How many local sporting events per month do you go to on a monthly breakdown? That is our Twitter poll question of the day. Here are the options for you to vote. You're going to text one of these 4 words, okay? None if you don't go to any. You're just like, I don't care, right? I'm a national guy. Some, like maybe you go to 1 or 2. I go to some, 1 or 2. If I'm bored, if there's nothing going on, if somebody's in town and they want to go see a hockey game or whatever. And Jacob asked a good question. He says, does high school sports count? I'm going to say for this question, no, right? I'm going to say for this question, no, because I'm going to be the heel here. There's 2 reasons people go to high school games. 1, their kid is playing there, or 2, they're an alum and they love that program. And if that's you, you're going to all those games. And if you got a kid that goes to that school, you're going to all those games. So I'm going to say for this question, high school sports does not count. Let's stick it to our local colleges, Furman, Wofford, SC Upstate, etc. Let's stick it to our local professional squads. The Drive, the Triumph, the Swamp Rabbits, the soon-to-be Spartanburgers. Let's stick it to our local programs and our community, our colleges within the community, okay? How many local sporting events do you go to per month? 844-326-3663. Here are the options. None. You don't care. You don't care. You're a national guy. You don't have the time, whatever, any reason. None. If you go to a couple, like if you're bored or somebody's in town and they're like, baseball guy, you're like, all right, I'll go to a Drive game with you, whatever. Text some. If you go, if the local sports scene is part of your entertainment rotation, right? Maybe you go to a game or 2 a month. You go buy a ticket to the Drive every now and then during baseball season when you're bored. Maybe you've come out to a Triumph game or 2. Maybe you head out to the Swamp Rabbits. Maybe you're from up north and you're a big hacky guy and you care about the bits. Maybe you come out to a bits game or 2 a month. Text Many, MANY. Or if you're like me and you go to a buttload of them, text all. That doesn't mean you go to every one of them, but you get what I'm saying. I needed one more word. But you go to a bunch of them. So 844-326-3660. Text none, some, many, or all. How many local sporting events do you attend on a monthly basis? Text none, some, many, or all to 844-326-3663. 844-326-3663. That is our Twitter poll question of the day. How many local sporting events do you attend per month? Text none, some, many, or all to that number, 844-326-3663, and we will report on that. So if I had to ask you right now, what's your guess is going to be the leading vote getter? None, some, many, or all?
Some.
I think some's probably going to be. I think some's going to be the answer. And one of the things that's interesting about this poll is I'm not going to say people are dishonest. I think sometimes people, I don't think sometimes people, I know for a fact that sometimes people will make claims that show them in the best light, right? Like there have been polls in the week and a half we've been running the Twitter text poll message of the day There have been polls that I've put up that you guys like run to one answer, and I'm like, I don't believe you. I don't believe this is true.
This poll isn't fan base centric to a certain level of sports, so this should be a little more honest.
I mean, to some degree, it is. Like I said, I want to keep it to our local sports teams, our local universities, Furman, SC Upstate, Wofford, etc. I want to keep it to the local professional teams, the Drive Triumph Swamp Rabbits, soon to be Spartanburgers. I want to keep it to the local sports team above the high school level.
So you are eliminating Clemson in South Carolina.
I'm not talking about if you get in the car and drive to Clemson. I'm not talking if you get in the car and drive to Columbia. I'm not talking if you get in the car and go to Charlotte. I'm talking local in our community. I'm talking about the teams that are within our listening range and the teams that we talk about here on the show, right? I mean, we talk about those teams on the show, but you get what I'm saying. I'm talking about the teams in our communities, in Greenville, in Spartanburg, in all the little metros that surround it. How many local sporting events per year do you go to? Text none, some, many, or all to 844-326-3663. 844-326-3663. That is the number. Text in your votes. None, some, many, or all. We will tabulate them by the end of the show. We have already got 4 votes in. 3 sums and 1 none have texted the show so far. We're going to keep track of those votes throughout the day as the show progresses. All right, here's what we got coming up today for you on the radio program. Coming up at 8 a.m., the lovely Lulu Kesin from the Greenville News is going to join us here on the program. We will talk about some South Carolina Gamecock athletics. We'll check in with the football program. After, obviously, the Cheez-It Bowl, we had the opportunity to talk to Lulu Kesin about that game last week. Now we'll ask what's happening moving forward. Shane Beamer, by the way, nominated as one of 8 finalists for the Bear Bryant Coach of the Year Award. I think it's well-deserved, well-earned. We'll talk to Lulu Kesin about that coming up at 8 o'clock. Then at 8:40, Rashad Beard, the host of the Panther Nation podcast, is going to come by. Now that the season is official over, we'll get a little bit of a post-mortem on 2024. We will talk about the growth and development from week to week, game to game of Bryce Young, of Jalen Coker, of Adam Thielen, of Chuba Hubbard, of Dave Canales, of the Panther organization as a whole. So stay tuned for that. That's at 8:40. Then at 9 o'clock on the dot, Mario Herron, a.k.a. Hatin Ass Mario from the BetQL Network, is going to join us. He's going to give us his thoughts and picks for the NFL's Super Wild Card Weekend. You have to say super, or else you get in trouble with Raj. Can't get in trouble with that Roger Goodell. Super Wild Card Weekend upcoming this weekend in the NFL. We'll talk to Hatin Ass Mario about what he thinks that looks like. Then at 9:20, it's Thursday, and you know what that means. Fight Club with the great one, Lonzo. And so I'd say we've got a minimal amount of professional wrestling we may or may not need to cover during Fight Club today.
We're just going to spend the entire segment talking about Dwayne.
Chee-hoo!
It sounds like Looney Tunes for some reason. I mean, that sounds like someone just fell off a cliff, doesn't it?
It does. It turns
like,
out.
Like Wile E. Coyote fell off a cliff or something.
I learned that this morning. That is actually a very important phrase, expression in Samoan culture. And now I feel bad about doing that.
No, you don't.
Dwayne! So we'll talk some wrestling coming up at 9:24. Fight Club with Lonzo. All that and more coming up as the Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is the Fan Upstate.
Real sports talk, real sports fans.
The Fan Upstate
is the sports voice of you, the Upstate fan. Call 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-326.
All right, kids, pardon me for just mere moment.
Upstate.
I'm Chuck Sanders. Here's the Sports Flash presented by Progressive. In overtime last night, the Furman Paladins beat the Citadel 67-63. The Paladins improved to 14-2 overall, 2-1 in the Southern Conference. Nick Anderson had 23 points. Number 5, Alabama beat South Carolina 88-68. The Gamecocks dropped to 0-2 in SEC play. Wofford knocked off Western Carolina 77-69. East Tennessee State with a 70-68 win at Mercer. South Carolina Upstate with a 77-67 win over Presbyterian. Mr. Dean had 23 points for USC Upstate. Michael Christmas put up 27 points, leading Longwood past UNC Asheville 85-76. Gardner-Webb over Winthrop 89-83. High Point beat Charleston Southern 93-79. The Fan Upstate is your home for Paladins football and basketball. Follow all the action live right here on the Fan Upstate. Download the Odyssey app, search the Fan Upstate, and listen anywhere on your phone.
Up-to-minute upstate traffic. So far, not too bad on the roadways. Now, of course, ongoing construction. South on I-85 at the exit to Pelham Road. Right now, that's not really bothering anyone. That looks fine as you move down towards Malden Road. Construction as well on Highway 25 at Beaver Dam Road. You got one lane block. That's still moving quite well. Right now, I'd say we're in great shape.
Back when I was younger, especially
From
when
the
I
News Talk
first moved here,
98.9 WRD
I did
Traffic
a
Center.
lot of
I'm Lori Houston
that type
on
of
the
stuff.
Fan Upstate.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't
Especially when the
afford it?
family
Too
was
much
younger.
hassle?
It was a
Think
lot
you
of
don't
fun.
need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts.
Right now, unfortunately,
I'm talking
because
brake
of
pads for when yours
physical
seen 1 too many miles of
limitations, I
stop
don't
and
do
go.
as much.
Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list.
Although I
might
don't
just go
plan
for
on
it.
missing any of my
Keep your bag
granddaughter's
cool and
sports
your
stuff.
DIY streak hot.
First basketball
Find all the
game
parts
was
you need at
Monday.
prices you love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love.
Then it's a
Eligible
matter
items
of
only.
how many
Exclusions apply.
bleachers can I safely go up.
This Saturday at the Well, the Furman Paladins entertained the
I made it up
Wofford
3
Terriers
bleachers Monday.
in a huge Southern Conference matchup presented by Bond
Wasn't running
Support.
bleachers. Well, I mean, you know, I just like, no, because of Silver's game.
11 a.m. It's a SoCon Upstate rivalry.
Basketball
and you can
game.
get your tickets at FurmanPaladins.com. Furman and Wofford presented by Bond Support.
I was just saying how I used to
Well,
do a bunch of that
Saturday
stuff
at
when
noon.
the kids were
Tickets,
younger and when I first moved
FurmanPaladins.com.
here. And then we got really busy and the kids were playing, both kids were playing sports. So that's constantly all we did.
These routines help us start the day off right. Nature Made
Then when they
vitamins are
both
a
got into
simple
high
step
school, I was
that
at
daily
every high
care
school in this
regimen.
area one time or
Multivitamins
another
with daily
for
essentials.
football,
Clinically
basketball, or
studied
wrestling.
probiotics for gut health support.
And softball.
Magnesium to help relax the body. Nature Made is made to care for you every day. These statements have not been evaluated
do
by
that
the Food
stuff
and Drug
for
Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose,
just like a
treat, cure,
total
or
of
prevent
14
any
years, I think. And suddenly it's all gone. It's like, okay, what do you do now?
Loaded with benefits. Get T-Mobile's best home internet starting at $55 a month with auto pay and any voice line. Plus, Price Lock. We won't raise your rate
Zach,
on
do you go to
internet.
baseball to
Check
watch the
availability
baseball?
at
Or do you go to baseball to
T-Mobile.com/home internet.
talk to friends?
Exclusions like
And
taxes and
oh,
fees
whatever
apply.
that one guy
Guaranteed
said
rate
the
for
other
price
day.
of fixed wireless 5G internet data with qualifying service. After $15 bill credit with postpaid voice line plus $5 a month without auto pay with debit or bank account. Regulatory fees included for qualifying accounts. $35 connection charge.
But all that stuff is so much more fun with kids, especially taking them to their first experience with that stuff.
Punch your ticket to the best local sports. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg. Always streaming wherever you are on the Odyssey app.
Upstate.
Text or call. One number does it all. 844-326-3663. That's 844-FAN-PHONE. This is the Rod Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
James Franklin started making the rounds yesterday as the press conference featuring the two head coaches of that semifinal matchup, James Franklin of Penn State and Notre Dame's and Marcus Freeman, sat together at the table and answered questions from reporters and journalists from around these great United States. And James Franklin said in the conversation that he believes And what a lot of people are calling a thinly veiled shot at Notre Dame, I don't think it was. I think it was just an opinion. And frankly, I think it's an opinion that many, if not most of y'all hold. He said he believes that college football should be uniform and that everyone that makes the playoffs is at least how it sounded to me. Everyone should be in a conference or everyone should be out of a conference. Either everyone should have to play in a conference championship game or no one should have to play in a conference championship game. Here is a little bit of a snippet from what James Franklin had to say.
I think it should be consistent across college football. I think, again, this is no knock at Coach or Notre Dame, but I think everybody should be in a conference. I think everybody should play a conference championship game or no one should play a conference championship game. I think everybody should play the same number of conference games, but just the numbers are going to make things more challenging if you're playing one more conference game. So I just think things need to be consistent across college football.
So that's what James Franklin said, and a lot of people reacted to that very strongly, including me. I had a couple of thoughts about it. Start with this. I understand that he said this is no shot at Marcus Freeman. This is no shot at Notre Dame. And frankly, I don't think it's a shot. I think it's just a statement. It's an opinion. And head coaches are allowed to have those too. But here's the reality. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. And it's irrelevant because Notre Dame's not going to join a conference. But this is not out of, and I've said this yesterday when we asked the question, or 2 days ago, what team do you least want to see win the national championship? And I said, I understand why a lot of you are going to vote for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. It is because they have a very elitist fan base, a very arrogant fan base. They have, and I mean this, the nicest fan base I've ever been around. The people of South Bend, Indiana, when I went up there, were incredibly pleasant, but they are a little bit elitist, right? This is how it's supposed to go. We're the Golden Domers. Touchdown, Jesus. Let's go. It's all about the dome. And I get it. I get it. That's fine. Like you have an illustrious history of college football there in South Bend, Indiana. But it is a bit of an elitist mentality. But make no mistake, while the fans will tell you we aren't joining a conference because we don't need one, there's a reason Notre Dame's not in a conference. I was listening to Colin Diesel talk about this yesterday, and I texted their show because I felt like, respectfully, they were kind of missing the plot on this. They were talking about, they do need to join a conference, and it needs to be that. And I said, guys, you're missing the plot entirely here. Here's the reality. Notre Dame has been set up over the years by the NCAA and, more importantly, by NBC, bong, 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 to be they are a one-team conference. They are a conference. What benefits of joining a conference does Notre Dame not currently have in their setup? In fact, if anything, I'd argue they're better set up than a team in a conference. Why? Number one, they have every date on their football schedule available to schedule whoever they want. They can schedule anybody they want to schedule on their schedule, right? They can go play USC. They can go play Penn State. They can go play ACC teams for a large swath. They can play whoever they want. Number two, the funding is there. The reason that teams formed conferences and the reasons that these conferences still exist is money. Again, and I've said this before, and a lot of college football fans don't love to hear it, but it kind of is what it is. College football is a money-centric game. It always has been, but it's a money-centric game. Conferences were formed so that schools could collect their resources, pool their resources in order to exponentially grow the income and then distribute that across the conferences. The reason that conferences are still active right now, television contracts. That's why. To get the ESPN's contract with the SEC is the reason the SEC exists. And it was with, CBS Sports before that. The Big Ten, they've got their contract with Fox. That's the reason they exist. They can pool the resources, get that TV contract. Everybody gets the exposure. The little schools get the opportunity to leech off the big schools. The big schools get the added benefit of having these small schools that they can establish recurring games with and kind of knock all that. It's beneficial. Notre Dame has all those things. Notre Dame has that. NBC allows Notre Dame to run their athletic department as if it is a conference. And they get paid that television contract that provides them with the same amount of money, if not more, that schools in conferences receive. So why? Why would Notre Dame do that? And now, I will say this. There is one thing James Franklin said that I do like, which is college football should be uniform. And that's a great idealistic mentality. One of the most important things to do, whether you're doing it in a microphone as a sports talk broadcaster or whether you're doing it in a bar stool at 2 a.m. with the boys. One thing that I think will make talking sports a lot more, I don't want to say enjoyable. That might not be the right word. A lot more realistic, maybe. I don't know what word you want to use here, but pick it. One of the things that will make talking sports a lot more effective for you, if nothing else, is the ability to, when necessary, maybe not on Saturday at kickoff, maybe not on Sunday at kickoff, maybe not on a Tuesday night when your favorite basketball team is kicking off, but like just in your general conversation, ditch the mentality of idealism because it's never going to happen. There's an idealistic world where college football is perfect. There's an idealistic world where all of us collectively agree that we've got a system. I keep hearing, I heard it 3 times yesterday on 2 different shows and once on social media, where somebody said, oh, we don't complain when an NFC team only wins 9 games and they get a playoff spot and an 11-win team doesn't. Right. But I've explained to you, that's because the NFL has an objective system. There is no opinion involved. You are one of 4 divisional winners, or you are one of the 3 next best teams record-wise, and you get into the playoffs. And if you're not one of the 4 divisional winners or the 3 next best teams record-wise, you don't. There's no metric. There's no opinion. There's no, I know the Buccaneers won their division, but like the NFC South's weak, right? That should be the National Football Cupcake division. Ha, ha, ha. See, because C means conference, but also cupcake. What a good joke.
That is very inventive. So hilarious.
I know. I'm very good at this. We don't do that because it's objective. There's probably a world where there's an objective metric by which we determine who gets into the 12 and soon to be 16-team college football playoffs. Sure there is. But it ain't going to happen because there's a lot of people that wear suits to work in the college football sphere that aren't going to let, because they lose money. They're not about to do that. There's an objective way to make it happen, but it's not going to. So we got to drop that. We got to drop that idealism, James Franklin. We got to, and I'm not talking to James Franklin like going after him. I got plenty of reasons to criticize James Franklin. This ain't one of them. I get it. But you know what James Franklin sounded like to me? He sounded like my buddy when it's Saturday night and we're out past our bedtimes, knocking back some brewskis at the bar and just spitballing fun ideas for college football. Conferences aren't created equal. Does it matter if Notre Dame joins a conference if they join the Mountain West? No? Does that change anything? I don't think it does. Look at Boise State.
It changes the Mountain West.
Certainly it changes the Mountain West.
They would love that.
In terms of the overall structure, does that change anything? The answer is no. It doesn't. It's just the criticism's going to get different, right? Then Notre Dame gets in by way of dominating the Mountain West every year, and everybody's going to go, whoa. Why does Notre Dame annually get a pass? Because they go beat the hell out of the Mountain West. Why does Notre Dame constantly and annually get a pass into the college football playoffs? It's not going to matter. The only way that's going to matter is if Notre Dame was to join the Big Ten or the SEC, and that's true about everybody who's not in those conferences. There were people asking the question. We know that it is objective. There is only one objective way to get into the college football playoffs, and that is be one of the top 4 ranked conference champions, right? That's the only way to guarantee yourself a path, is to be one of the top 5 conference champions. Clemson got in by way of being one of the top 5 conference champions. And this isn't going to shock anybody who pays attention. There were a lot of people in the college sportosphere that were grabbing mics and going on and creating their social media content saying, yeah, Clemson gets in via the objective metric. But, like, does anybody really think this team's winning a natty this year? Yeah, SMU got in by way of making a conference championship game and being one walk-off field goal away from being the ACC champs. But does anybody truly feel SMU is going to win a natty this year? Who would have had a better shot to win the national championship this year? SMU or South Carolina? SMU or Alabama? SMU or Ole Miss? Now, I would argue I'd rather see
How
SMU.
well did those teams that you mentioned do in their
Nobody.
bowl games?
The bowl games are irrelevant.
So
Do not hold a bowl game against a regular season team. It's a different thing.
So, by the way, but if any of those teams would have been still playing a bowl, but it would have mattered because it was in the tournament, would the players who didn't play?
Do you think Kyle Kennard and Rocket Sanders sit out of a playoff game? We have yet to have that happen. In the 4-team or the 12-team, we have yet to have
Are you sure?
We have
Could've
yet
swore
to
I
have
saw something.
We have yet to have that. Okay, let me rephrase that. We have yet to have a player of note say, I am opting out of a playoff game. Now, that question got asked on, and I do not remember what show it was, but somebody's show a handful of days ago. Do you think, with the way that this is all structured now, do you think that we will see a player opt out of a playoff game? And the answer is, yeah, I think inevitably at some point we will. I think it is very possible that we could see, let's say there's a Cam Ward at Miami, right? Let's say Miami doesn't lose to Syracuse and they get him. Is it possible? And I'm not saying Cam Ward would do this. I'm just using him as an example. If there's a team that gets in as like team number 12, what if Clemson had a clear-cut, definitive, no questions asked, number 1 overall, let's say wide receiver, maybe not quarterback. No questions asked, definitive number 1 wide receiver, but everything else was the same. The records, the results, the prognostications, the fact that they were a 13-point underdog. Do I think it is possible that we could see at some point a wide receiver that goes, y'all, I got a $25 million NFL contract waiting on me. I'm making $1 million in NIL at Clemson. I'm opting out of the playoff game to make sure I don't pop my ACL like Jake Butt did a few years ago for Michigan. I'm going to make sure I don't injure myself in the playoffs. I'm going to go ahead and opt out of the playoffs. Is it possible? Sure. Sure, it's possible. I don't think we've had that happen yet, at least not of a noteworthy player. Obviously, South Carolina had that happen in the bowl game. So did Illinois, by the way. Obviously, Alabama had that happen in the bowl game. So did Michigan, by the way. Right? So that's why I don't care about, they wanted to be in the playoff, but they lost the ball. I don't care. It's a different team if Kyle Kennard and Rocket Sanders are out there playing. You know it, I know it, we all know it. Let's stop pretending like it's not true. All right? Let's be grown-ups here. Let's not pretend that was the same South Carolina team that beat Clemson. It was not. It just wasn't. Put all that to the side. The whole concept of James Franklin's conversation. Would I love college football to be uniform? Absolutely. Would I love it to be consistent from top to bottom? Absolutely. Would I love, maybe more than any of those things, for there to be an objective system by which we put teams into a playoff bracket? Yes, I would love that. I would love there, as there is in the NFL, I would love there to be an objective way by which we determine who the 12 or 16 best teams are. But college football is not consistent top to bottom. It is not uniform top to bottom. And if it's not, then there, to me, is no objective way to do that. It is going to be based in subjectivity. And as long as it is based in A, subjectivity, and B, financially driven, and NBC is willing to give Notre Dame $750 million or whatever it is, I don't know what the number is. But as long as NBC is willing to give Notre Dame that much money to broadcast their games, then there is zero reason or incentive for Notre Dame to join a conference. There's none. They can schedule whoever they want. They can run their athletic department however they want. They can make all their decisions, all of them in the interest of what's best for Notre Dame. Not every SEC decision is in the best interest of Alabama or South Carolina or Ole Miss or Florida or Tennessee or Georgia. Not every decision that comes out of Notre Dame's athletic department, a one-school conference, is in the best interest of Notre Dame. Why in the hell would they give that up? Well, we feel like it'd be more fair for everybody. They don't care. Nobody cares. Everybody's in it for themselves. Welcome to America, baby. That's not changing. So I appreciate everything James Franklin had. All the things he said, cool, man. Yeah, sure. Notre Dame should join a conference. College football should be uniform and consistent, top to bottom and up to down. But it's never going to be. Because we don't live in an ideal world. Not all conferences, not all schools are created equal, and there's no way to fix that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish of reading sports flashes, the great one, Lonzo.
No, I'm not. I'm a team player, man. I'm in a conference. The 5th-ranked Alabama basketball team knocked off South Carolina last night in Columbia, 88-68. Jacoby Wright led the Gamecocks with 20 points, but South Carolina had only 4 points off the bench while shooting just 3 of 14 from 3. The Gamecocks dropped to 10-5 and 0-2 in the conference play. As wildfires continue to rage across southern Los Angeles and Southern California, the NFL says it's monitoring the situation and could move the wild card matchup between the Vikings and Rams to Arizona if necessary. If the move is made. The game would be played as part of a doubleheader on Monday night. The Rams said no players or staff have been impacted by the wildfires yet. Tune in Saturday at 11:30 as the Furman Paladins take on the Wofford Terriers in basketball action right here on the Fan.
Up to minute upstate traffic, still very, very nice on the roadway, still moving at the posted speeds on I-85, southbound I-85 at the exit to Pelham Road. You've got that ongoing construction, but right now it's not really bothering anyone as you move down towards I-385. Also construction on Highway 25 at Beaver Dam Road. You've got one lane block there. That still looks good, though, at both sides of the roadway. From the News Talk 98.9 WRD Traffic Center, I'm Lori Houston on the Fan, Upstate.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-518-3899. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-518-3899. That's 800-518-3899. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Open enrollment is going on now, but not for long. Don't risk going uninsured in 2025. South Carolina Blue is here for you. Visit scbluehereforyou.com to schedule an appointment at the South Carolina Blue Retail Center on Woodruff Road in Greenville. Casey and his team of experts can help you find a health plan that fits you and your budget. Open enrollment is ending, so schedule your no-cost appointment today at scbluehereforyou.com.
Hey, this is Diesel, and I am fired up because I've just gotten into playing Underdog.
Pretty sure that one of the Boses
right
did
here
that.
in South Carolina. Without a doubt, this is
Jonathan,
the most fun and easy way to cash in on your
probably
favorite
more
athletes'
than that,
performances.
but
You
for
think
some
Mahomes
reason,
will throw for higher than 3
I
touchdowns.
think the
Luka
younger
will score
Bosa who
lower
was
than 30
hurt
tonight. Play an entry and
decided
cash
to not
in.
come back
And for
the rest
somebody
of the
like
season.
me who's
That
new
probably
to
doesn't
Champs
count,
entry, it couldn't be
pretty sure
any
that I've
easier.
seen
It
that
gives me
happen to
so
other
many more
teams.
ways to stay invested in all the biggest games. You could win up to 1,000 times your money just by choosing higher or lower on player stats. Hey, do you remember that famous song about knowing when to hold it and when to fold it? Well, Underdog lets you keep riding with your entry or tap Win Now to cash out whenever you want. And my favorite, with Underdog Rescues, you can get your money back back and receive a promo if an early injury causes your entry to lose. Underdog is the best place to play Pick'em. Download the app, sign up with promo code WORD, and deposit now to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. That's promo code WORD. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncbgambling.org.
Taxes was waiting around for your taxes to be done, which led to worrying about not getting any money back. Now Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes in a day to get you up to $4,000 fast with a refund advance loan. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Expert filing only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. Refund advance has $0 loan fees and 0% APR. Refund advance loans may be issued by First Century Bank, N.A. or WebBank. Terms apply. Subject to approval.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
So 3 SMU players didn't play in their playoff game. They all hit the transfer portal.
The official sports voice of you, the upstate fan.
Notre Dame?
No, I'm talking about playoffs overall this year.
Yeah.
SMU players. Looks like 3 Penn State players transferred. I don't know how much playing time they got.
Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
But it isn't like a starting quarterback or anything like that. But
Like
there
I
are
said, it's
there are
guys
players
that-
doing it though.
Sure.
QC in the first break.
So Lonzo went through during the break and he found at least a couple of examples of guys that transferred predominantly off of teams that made the playoffs. Now, they're majoritively guys that didn't really play or didn't play in the regular season. So that is why I said I stand on. I want to kind of limit it to players of note, right? Like the fifth string offensive tackle. It hurts your depth. It hurts your ability to practice. Sure, I'm not arguing with that. But I've also pointed out before that this is a fixable solution.
The backup quarterback for Penn State.
Yes, we knew that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
yep.
so there are guys like that. I mean, could have been very important.
Absolutely. And this is why I've said, I also want to point out that as much as many of you guys don't want to, I would also say we can fix that. Change the window. I don't understand why the transfer portal window in the winter is where it is. Well, if you give guys effectively 2 opportunities to transfer, one's in the winter, one's in the spring. Guys that have an opportunity to transfer in the winter are going to do it. Well, Rob, why don't the playoff guys just wait until the spring? Because jobs are full by then, right? If you are good enough to be the backup quarterback at Penn State, there's 100 schools you're good enough to go be an immediate starter. And even if those are smaller schools and maybe the NIL potential is limited there, you still got more if that is your priority. And even if it's not, like, here's my thought. I think a lot of people rush to make the assumption that these guys are all transferring for NIL money. That's not necessarily true. I think a lot of them may be transferring so they can play. I don't want to go to college to be on a college football team and ride pine for 4 years, graduate, and never have anybody know what I did.
Those two things go hand in hand. If you go somewhere and play, you're going to get more NIL.
Sure, but what I'm saying is the prioritization of the two of them may not be the same. I think the assumption is we all make the assumption, not we all, I don't. A lot of you make the assumption that if Penn State's backup quarterback transfers, he just wants to go somewhere and make that NIL money. I mean, maybe. Or maybe because Drew Aller's coming back next year and he's out of eligibility, he realizes, well, if Drew's coming back and I stay here, guess what I'm not going to do? Play college football. Nobody wants a scholarship to go practice college football. They want to play.
Luke Doty.
Didn't he transfer?
No,
Robbie Ashford transferred.
Oh.
Robbie Ashford transferred. And again,
there are exceptions. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly. I'm sure that there are. But we're not, by and large, I assume that if you're a competitor and you want to go play college football, you want to go play college football. Again, put yourself in the shoes of a guy like And I'm blanking on the kid's name. The Penn State backup quarterback. God dang it.
I just had it.
Bo Pribula. Bo Pribula. You're Bo Pribula. You're a competitor. You're a ball player. And I go, here's your options, Bo. You can go be the backup quarterback at Penn State for 4 years and not play. You can be the backup, though. You'll practice. You'll be the guy. If the starter goes down, you're the next guy up, but there's no guarantee, right? You're next guy up. But you're probably not gonna play. And even if you do play, you're really just holding the spot warm until the starter comes back. Or you can go to, I don't know, Wake Forest and be a starter. Be a starter. You can go to NC State, be a starter. Because he could. He's probably good enough to go to one of those, let's say, lower tier ACC schools. He could go to a Vanderbilt and be a starter, right? You can go there and you can play. And you could be a campus hero and yada, yada, yada. You could go. Which of those are you more likely to take? Because I'll tell you right now, I love being here. If I got the call up from WFAN in New York City, the biggest sports talk station in the world, and they called and said, Rob Brown, we'd like to hire you to come up to New York and be our full-time producer. I'm saying no to that. I didn't get into this business to sit in a room and not talk.
I don't know. The New York producer probably makes pretty good money.
Maybe so.
Just saying.
Also lives in New York City, which, by the way, I love New York City, but it ain't cheap. Right.
Yeah,
if they said, Rob Brown, we'll pay you 3 times as much to come up to New York City and be our full-time producer, you're not gonna be on a show. You're not gonna. I mean, you'll be on a show producing it. You're not gonna be a character. You're not gonna be on. I'm gonna say no to that because I put in 17 years to figure out, I think, how to at least be okay at this. I strive for mediocrity, but I'm not going to be a backup. And they go,
there are some days when you reach that. I want you to know that.
I appreciate that. That's the nicest thing anybody will say to me today. I'm not going up to New York City to do that. I'd rather play. And yes, the Fan Upstate is not WFAN New York City, but it's a damn good station, and I'm on it. Lonzo and I's faces are on the building. You think I'm going to WFAN? You think they're going to put my face on a building?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Still really cool, by the way. I don't think that'd ever get old.
Would I make more money? Probably. Is that enough to change my mind? No. So the point here is, if the window is in the winter, because Bo Pribula wants to transfer, he's never going to play at Penn State. Maybe he loves Penn State. Maybe he always wanted to be a Nittany Lion, but he goes, I also want to play. I also love football. If Bo Pribula waits until the fall window, he goes, I'm going to stay on the team. I'm going to help. I'm going to be the practice squad QB. I'm going to be the guy that tests out the defense. I'm going to be that. I'm going to be there for James. That's great. But he waits until into the spring to transfer into window number 2. He waits till window number 2, but he puts his name in the portal. Well, guess what? Vandy's got their quarterback. Wake's got their quarterback. NC State's got their quarterback. They're in spring practices now. They already got their guy. He spent the entire winter learning the playbook, getting with his dudes, playing some NCAA 2K at night to develop that chemistry. They're already there. Unless Bo Pribula, as a dude who's never seen the playbook, is a guarantee to step in a bit. He could probably in a spring window transfer to North Dakota State and get an auto starting spot.
I don't know.
All right, that might not be the best example, but you get the point I'm trying to make here. He could transfer to a lot of schools and be the starter, but it's going to be a massive step down, not a little one. Little step down, he starts, but he's got to do it now. So to me, I'm not faulting the players who transfer in the winter window, even if their team is in the playoffs. Bo Pribula likely, pending an emergency situation, is not going to see the field in the college football playoffs. He's just not. So he's got an opportunity to transfer in the winter window to a school that goes, we got a spot for you, dog. And if you show up today, you're going to get the playbook and you're going to start playing. We're going to go ahead and sign you. We're going to get you in the program. We're going to get you ready to be our starting quarterback next year. If he waits till the spring, that team's already found their QB because competition is out there. So why wait? Why wait? He's got a 1 in 12 chance to win a national championship as a backup. You think they're going to hang his jersey in the rafters after that? No, because he ain't going to do anything unless Drew Aller goes down. And on top of that, respectfully, is there a team in the Final Four? Was there a team in the 12, in the top 12? Was there one team, though, in the top 12 that you think if their starting quarterback went down, they're alive today? Because the answer to me is no. None of them. None of them lose QB1, and they're still alive today.
I don't know. There are a couple of teams really
Eight
good.
of them had their QB1 and aren't alive today.
Yeah, a couple of teams with really good running games where I think they might have been all right.
I'll tell you this. Boise State was only alive in that game because Madsen was dropping darts when Janty was being hounded by Penn State. It's the only reason they kept it alive as long as they did. If Boise State has to go to QB2, they are cooked by the Nittany Lions.
A few years ago, Ohio State would go, yeah, we got this.
Yeah. So if I'm, and even still, I would make the argument that a good part of the reason for this, for Ohio State being where they are, is because playoff Will Howard is a different breed of horse chestnut.
So far.
I mean, dude is balling.
Hopefully he continues that tomorrow night.
Absolutely. By the way, Ohio State's backup quarterback, Air Nolan, transferred to South Carolina.
He was one of them. He was one of the
one of backups.
Yeah, I think Sayin is the backup.
Regardless of whoever it is, however it worked out, let's be real clear. Had to go. Because now, that's not to say South Carolina's job was open, but there was something about South Carolina that was attractive to Air Nolan.
All right.
What a name, by the way.
Yeah. That one was, I thought, a little weird because Lenore Sellers is going to be there a couple more years. Yeah.
For sure. But Air Nolan's got I think 3 years of eligibility left. So he may look and go, I play like, because he does. He plays like Lenore's. Same similar setup. And he goes, wait a minute. All right, South Carolina's got this guy, and he is the guy, and he's going to be a Heisman candidate coming into the year next year, Lenore Sellers is. So if he's a Heisman candidate, what are they going to do? South Carolina's going to build their whole system around that. They're going to build a whole system around Lenore Sellers. Well, what happens in a year or two when Lenore Sellers takes off to the NFL? Guess what? The system's already built for me. I'm that guy. So I go there, I spend 2 years, and unless they recruit and bring in a guy who is clearly going to take my job, in which case I'll just transfer again. They're building everything. You see what I'm saying? But if he waited till the fall, Robbie Ashford transfers, Shane Beamer goes out there, gets a couple of quarterbacks to bring into that system. Now all of the sudden, there's no guarantee there's anything for Air Nolan. So why would I stay on a Buckeye team? Yeah, I'm going to get a ring if they win the Natty, but I'm not playing at all. I'm not what am I here? I'm never going to play here. Because if I recall correctly, the Buckeyes have 2 or 3 5-star quarterbacks that are coming up through the ranks, and he ain't one of them. So why not get out while I can, while there's a spot while somebody wants me that is going to have a system built for me in a year or 2 or 3 when I'm ready to take over? Why not make that move, right? That's my whole point. I'm not busting up the players who decide to leave even playoff teams because the option with the winter window is you leave in the winter window or you leave in the spring, but the jobs are full. Where are you going to go? This is what my old man used to tell me all the time when I was coming up through the ranks. I can't tell you how many jobs that I worked and I'm like, I'm done with this place. I'm done with this crap. And my old man, as I'm sure many of yours did, said, do not leave that job until what? Till you have another one lined up.
Another job.
That's it. Do not leave that. You want to go out there and job hunt in your off hours? Do it. You want to build up the CV? Do it. You want to build up the resume and the folder or the demos or whatever? Do it.
It's a CV.
A resume.
Okay.
If you want to build that up and you want to go look for a job, absolutely do that. But do not leave the one you're at until you know you've got somewhere to land. Well, that's the same thing for these guys in the winter window. They're just making sure they have a spot to land. Because if I've left radio stations in the past to go somewhere else. But I can tell you, you know what the biggest fear for anybody in my position is? Getting pink slipped. Do you know why? Because if you are out of a job, you're out of a job. These jobs do not come open often. And when they do, the competition is cutthroat. I mean, cutthroat. People that love each other on the day-to-day, when a job like this comes open, will stab each other right between the eyes to get it. All right? That's the industry that we're in. So it's the same for college football players. Every year there are how many tens of thousands of high school seniors that would love to go play college football. And now you add on top of that what we had last year, 1,700 players enter the transfer portal. 1,700. I mean, there's 10,000 football jobs available, but how many of them are quarterbacks? Let's say every team has 4. You're looking at maybe 1,000 quarterbacking jobs, most of them backups. They don't come open very often. And on top of that, as well, the portal's an option. But I think if you talk to most college football coaches, I think most of them, they will take a transfer if the guy's a guy. But I think most of them would love to be able to get a guy coming out of high school that they know, that they like, that fits their system, that they can groom and develop within that system to take over the role. So Even those jobs, there's not a ton of them. Of course they're going to leave in the spring. If you want to fix that, open the winter window the day after the national championship game. That's when that window opens. That way, a guy like Bo Pribula, the backup quarterback at Penn State, can stay on the team, help the team, be a part of the team, and know that, yeah, I'm going to transfer out of here. I'm going to stay on the team. I'm going to try to win a natty. I'm going to transfer out of here as soon as I can, but I'll stay on to help the team, right? And then transfer, and he knows that he's got the same chance as a landing spot as a team that was, Florida State, 2-10, didn't make a bowl game. Those guys were able to hit the window weeks ago, shop weeks ago. So Bo can either bail on the team and be in the job market with those guys, or he can wait until, February? And all those guys got jobs. And every job that one of those guys gets is a job that Bo Pribula can't. Of course, change the window dates or quit getting mad at the kids who do not have a choice. He does not have a choice. He does, Rob, wait till the window. There's no jobs after the window. Or at least the job market is way more restricted. Because every other quarterback that's going to transfer, they found a spot. They found a spot. And there's something to be said for that. All right. We got a lot more to get to this hour. That was the water cooler cheat sheet, of course, at 7 o'clock. That's on me. That's my bad. I totally blanked. So when we come back, water cooler cheat sheet, top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office 45 minutes from now, and then 52 minutes from now, take your first break of the day. I'll tell you what's going on in the world of sports when we come back. I'm Rob Brown. The great one Lonzo's on the ones and twos. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, quick reading. We're coming right back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you.
Rapid radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Business owners can now keep in touch with up to 200 staff members at one time. Go to rapidradios.com now for up to 60% off and free shipping.
The Fan Upstate. Here's how to get in the game. On your radio at 97.7 FM, 1330 AM, Greenville. 97.1 FM, 950 AM, Spartanburg.
Listen on your phone. Download the Odyssey app and search The Fan Upstate.
There's a whole lot more to know about sound if you really want to go into the subject.
Your smart speaker. Just say, play 97 The Fan Upstate. On your HD radio at WFBC HD3. Oh, there's just one more thing. And on your computer at
TheFanUpstate.com.
No need to check the clock. It's Rob Brown time. Now, weekday mornings from 6 to 10 on The Fan Upstate.
7:20 in the AM portion of the day. You've got 40 minutes to get your behind the desk and get to work. And then you got about 55 minutes until you take that first break of the day, walk down the hallway, head on over into the break room, stand by the water cooler, and talk sports with the 2 to 4 people at work that you actually like. Well, if you're going to do that, you need to know what's going on in the world of sports. And if you need to know what's going on in the world of sports, don't you worry. Lonzo and I have you covered because every morning at 7 o'clock /20, we do this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
"Are you guys sniffing on newsprint or something?"
they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It's the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports this lovely upstate Thursday morning. Let's start with item number 1. Keeping an eye, obviously, on these wildfires that are devastating Southern California around the Los Angeles community. It is beginning to, could potentially, I should say, impact the National Football League. The NFL said earlier today it is monitoring the potential impact on the wildfires around the wild card playoff game between the Vikings and the Rams, scheduled for SoFi Stadium this weekend. Yesterday, the NFL said it is continuing to prepare for the game to potentially be played on the road. As of right now, it is not scheduled to move. They are not planning on moving it, but the contingency plans are in place. If the game must be moved out of Los Angeles, it would take place Monday night at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, the home of the Cardinals. It would not be the first time a playoff game, an NFL game has been moved. In 2003, the league moved a Monday night regular season game between the Dolphins and the Chargers to Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe due to wildfires in the area. The Rams had the day off yesterday. They are slated to resume practice today. They said via team official that they are also monitoring the situation and that so far, no players or staff members have been affected by the fires. The team is headquartered in Woodland Hills, a neighborhood about 13 miles north of the Pacific Palisades, which is one of the areas that is currently being devastated by these fires right now. However, there is a mountain range. The Santa Monica Mountains are between the Rams HQ and where most of the players live in and around, and where the heaviest areas of fire damage are right now. Not a guarantee that this game is at SoFi as of right now. Again, SoFi appears to be largely capable of hosting this game coming up this weekend, but there is one more issue, and I think it is the primary one the NFL is keeping an eye on, and that is the air quality index in the area of SoFi. It varied from 150 to above 300 in specific locations, as there is obviously smoke and ash coming down throughout the LA area. A rating of 150, according to a governmental system, is considered very unhealthy, according to ESPN. The air quality in Inglewood, where SoFi Stadium is located, as of yesterday afternoon was at 281, nearly twice what is labeled as an unhealthy amount of smoke, fog, and ash in the air. If that air quality does not come down, I would suspect that ultimately would be the reason that they move the game, because they are trying to take player safety into consideration here. But the NFL monitoring the wildfires in Southern California. Potentially that Rams-Vikings game could be moved out to Tempe. We'll see how that plays out. Let's go to item number 2. Things did not go well last night for the South Carolina Gamecock basketball team. They fall to 10-5 and are now 0-2 in the conference after an 88-68 loss to the number 5 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. The story in this one, Jacoby Wright, 20 points, led all Gamecock scorers. Jamari Thomas had 15, just 13 for Nick Pringle and 10 for Zach Davis. No other player scored in double digits, but the most damning number of all, 4 total bench points last night for the Gamecocks. Arden Conyers had a pair, and Cam Scott off the bench had a pair as well. The Gamecocks shot 42.5% from the floor, but they were just 3 of 14 from range. They were out-rebounded by Alabama, but more importantly, Alabama shot 55% from the floor last night and 8 of 19, 42% from behind the arc. Alabama tried to give the Gamecocks an opportunity. They went just 50% to 10 of 20 from the stripe last night, or else this could have gotten even more out of hand than it did. Listen, I watched a chunk of this game last night. I rewatched a little bit of it this morning. I don't know what it is about this Gamecock basketball team. When something works, they seem to get away from it really easily. And I don't understand it. South Carolina rolled out to a 5-0 start. It was 9-5 at one point early in the game, and it was very similar to what happened in the win over Clemson a couple of weeks ago. Early in the game, it was a lot of play inside out basketball. Right? It was work guys are, hey, listen, Matt, I know Studi's not available to this team right now. He's got a leg injury that's going to keep him out for an unforeseen amount of time, and that's obviously a big loss, as Studi was the guy who really kind of opened up the outside of the 3-point line, which allowed guys like Nick Pringle inside to move a little bit more freely. Without him, when he was able to check in, defenses are a little bit more compact. They're kind of coming down to the paint a little bit more. They're trying to force South Carolina to play outside in. And the reason is that ain't worked, right? Early in this game, to start this game, this team was working to and through Nick Pringle down low. It was get the ball to the paint. Let's let him post up. And then let's have guys on the outside move around, move off ball, get the motion away from the basketball. And let's find where a cutter can be found. Let's cut to create mismatches. Once we get them, let's attack the basket and let's go. For some reason, the last couple of games, at least the couple that I've watched, which was the last loss, the Clemson game, etc. For some reason, that system starts to work, and then South Carolina knocks down a 3, and now all of a sudden we're playing outside in basketball. Right? It's like they knocked down a 3, and it's like, guys, you knocked that down because by playing inside out, you force the defense to give you that shot, and you're able to set it up and make it happen. Now that you're trying to play outside in, they're drawing out the defense. Now the 3-point shots become more contested. They become lower percentage 3-point shots, and that's where you get into trouble. Until this team figures out that, yes, they are trying to take away the inside. We have still got to play to the inside. They are trying to take away the inside-out basketball we want to play. We've still got to play it. We've got to play our game. We've got to dictate the game to the opponent. And for whatever reason, from what I've seen, this team just keeps getting away from that. And as long as they do, that's going to be a problem for the South Carolina Gamecocks. Again, they fall to 10-5. They are now 0-2 to start conference play. South Carolina's next matchup will be 2 nights from now, and it does not get easier. You go from number 5 Alabama to number 2 Auburn coming to the crib. And I'm going to tell you right now, you better be on your A game, because this Auburn team is good. This Auburn team is a Final Four team. Not a Final Four team. This Auburn team is a national championship caliber team. This is the best team Bruce Pearl has put together yet out there on the plains. Then you're at Vandy, and then you're right back into the thick of it. On the road at number 17, Oklahoma, back to the crib for a Florida team who just blew out the number 1 team in America by 30 points 2 nights ago. This is a tough run of play. By the way, it's not going to get easier, because the Southeastern Conference is a bleeping machine this year. This conference is as good and you know how I feel about all this, but I'm going to say what I got to say.
Are you going to say it means more?
No.
It just means more?
No. This might be the best conference I've ever seen in the world of basketball, in college basketball as a whole. I mean it. This might be the best conference I have, and I'm including back in the ACC when Carolina and Duke were all in their heyday. This might be the best basketball conference I've ever seen. I'm including back when the Big Ten used to be a basketball conference. This might be the deepest, best overall basketball conference that I have ever seen. Auburn is a Final Four team. Mississippi State's an Elite Eight team. Alabama's a Final Four team. Ole Miss is a Final Four team. Texas A&M might be a Final Four team. Florida might be a Final Four team. Tennessee was the number one team in the country till they lost to Florida. Still a Final Four team. Georgia. There were people online last night. Georgia was running folks out of the gym saying Georgia's a basketball school now. I mean, it's this conference is fly. And by the way, have you noticed we haven't even gotten to Kentucky yet? We haven't even gotten to LSU yet. This conference is as good as I have ever seen any conference be in college basketball. I was talking to Brad Evans on BetMGM tonight on Tuesday, which is when Florida was beating the hell out of Tennessee. And he asked me on the air, he's like, Rob Brown, the hell's the SEC right now? I was like, the Terminator of conferences. It's a juggernaut. It's unbelievably good. If Lamont Paris doesn't figure something out with his team and start to dictate games, I'm not kidding you when I say, Lonzo, South Carolina may have 3 conference wins at the end of the year. And that says more about the conference than it does South Carolina. But if you don't figure it out, this is a problem, because this conference is, and I mean this, maybe the best conference for one season that I've ever seen in my life. And I've been covering this sport for 17 years. It's the best conference I've ever seen. All right, let's get to item number 3. Guess who's back in the transfer portal? Guess who's dabbling, or should I say daboing, back in the transfer portal? The third player to join Clemson's roster out of the portal is former 5-star recruit and Alabama edge rusher Jeremiah Alexander. He was a teammate back in high school in 2021, won a national championship with Clemson defensive lineman Peter Woods back in Alabaster, Alabama. They won the state title together in 2021. They would obviously separate as Peter Woods would come to Clemson. Jeremiah Alexander went to Alabama, but Alexander had a bit of a problem. He signed on with Nick Saban, who was big on having these 5-star recruits as edge rushers. Kalen DeBoer comes over this year. Alexander saw limited playing time. He did play both outside and inside linebacker. I suspect he's going to have the same role with Clemson. Look, he's a guy that if he buys in and Dabo Swinney is able to bring the best out of him, he can absolutely be an asset to this defense. He has not been at Alabama, which is unusual because that's one of the spots that Nick Saban put a hell of a lot of emphasis on during his time in Tuscaloosa. Kalen DeBoer, more of an offensive-minded guy. We'll see how that plays out. But this is the now third transfer portal player in via this cycle. He joins Purdue defensive end Will Helt and Missouri State wide receiver Tristan Smith on the Clemson Tiger roster. So for those of you that have been nitpicking at Dabo because he has not been using the portal, he's using the portal, dude. That's 3 players in 3 weeks.
At what point is this no longer a story and it's more about the players transferring than it is the fact that Dabo is using the transfer portal? From the standpoint of... it has to be reported every time that Dabo is done it again.
Oh, let's be real clear here. The answer is until football starts, every time he does it, this transfer portal window.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
Like every time he gets somebody, because again, that has been the primary narrative about Dabo Swinney for the past year and a half, right? For the past year and a half.
That's what I mean. I'm just awaiting the day. Not that you hammer it home, but I'm awaiting the day when that is no longer the narrative.
I'll tell you when the day is.
Because he has taken it away from all the people who have harped on it forever.
He absolutely has. Now, I'll tell you what, you want to know what the next narrative is? I'll tell you what the next narrative is now. He's getting guys that aren't really playmakers, right? Jeremiah Alexander's a 5-star recruit, sure, but he's played limited games at Alabama. He's been a rotational piece. He's been a specialist, right? Tristan Smith comes from Missouri State. Quick. Somebody tell me Missouri State's mascot. This man transferred 2 weeks ago. We talked about it at length. What's Missouri State's mascot? What conference are they in?
Stallions.
That was with confidence, and I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't even know. I don't even know.
He doesn't know.
Missouri State football are the Bears. They're the Bears. But you see the point here? The point is the next narrative is going to be, but why isn't he competing for the top players in the portal? You just got a guy out of the Ohio State Valley Conference. Is that a game changer for Clemson at a spot that they need a game changer at wide receiver?
This is the Ohio Valley Conference.
You know what I mean?
Well, I just want you to be accurate.
I know. I got to get it right. I get it. The point here is that's going to be the next narrative. He's getting guys now, but he's not getting good guys. He's just getting some guys, and that's not enough. That's going to be the next narrative until he starts pushing it.
Or these transfer portal guys aren't working. Why did he just stick to his guns and only bring his guys in?
Maybe so. It's going to be criticism until when?
Until they win.
Until they win a
national champion.
Yep. By the way, shout out to my guy Shane. I was up at the well yesterday, and Shane came up. He was like, "Yo, you're Rob Brown. I listen to the show every day." My man's listening right now. Shane, my guy, good to meet you yesterday. Thanks for listening on the reg, bud.
Wait. I thought this was the Rod Brown show.
The hot Rod Brown show.
You're Rob Brown?
When people meet me in public and my name's on the back of my jersey, yes.
I'm on the wrong show.
I think I'm going to get a custom hot rod jersey at this point. Shane, my man, great to meet you yesterday. Thanks for saying hello. Made my day, man. Appreciate you very, very much. Let's take a break back after this on the Rob Brown Show. It's the Fan Upstate.
97.7 FM Greenville. 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
And on the Odyssey app.
Upstate.
I'm Chuck Sanders. Here's the Sports Flash presented by Progressive. Some coaching changes for the Carolina Panthers. Secondary coach Burt Watts has been let go. So is outside linebackers coach Tem Lukabu and quality control coach Bobby Maffei. In overtime last night, the Furman Paladins beat the Citadel 67-63. The Paladins improved to 14-2 overall, 2-1 in the Southern Conference. Nick Anderson had 23 points. Number 5, Alabama beat South Carolina 88-68. The Gamecocks dropped to 0-2 in SEC play. Wofford knocked off Western Carolina 77-69. East Tennessee State with a 70-68 win at Mercer. South Carolina Upstate with a 77-67 win over at Presbyterian. Mr. Dean had 23 points for USC Upstate. Michael Christmas put up 27 points, leading Longwood past UNC Asheville 85-76. Bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. Download the Odyssey app, search the Fan Upstate, and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate.
Up to the minute upstate traffic. Looks like you have construction up on northbound I-85 near mile marker 77. I would say that's right around Davis Road. So may see a little bit of a backup there. It's not a huge delay. Also construction south on I-85 at the
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
State Farm, Bloomington, Illinois. From the Ingalls Market Studio, The Fan. The Fan!
Upstate. 97.7 FM Greenville. 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
I do like
Sports Network. Text or call. One number does it all. 844-326-3663. That's 844-FAN-PHONE. This is the Rod Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
And the Rod Brown Show continues. It is the Fan Upstate. Ladies and gentlemen, you may or may not be aware of this. But great when there's a playoff game tonight.
Oh, I'm aware.
This evening. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish take on James Franklin and his Pennsylvania State University Nittany Lions. The winner moves on to the national championship. Who you got, so? Straight up, prediction right out of the gate. Who you got?
All right, so Denton Day yesterday predicted exactly what I was going to predict.
And that is?
Penn State versus Ohio State.
Big
rematch.
10 matchup. So do I. I am picking Penn State tonight. And I'll tell you why I'm picking Penn State. There's one number that I think jumps off the page at me. And that number is this. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish use a man-to-man press defense on nearly 60% of their snaps. It's what they do. That is their philosophy. We are going to jam you at the line of scrimmage. We are going to throw your timing and rhythm off. And for a guy like Drew Aller, that's a problem. He's a good quarterback. I wouldn't put him amongst the greats. If you're going to be a guy who can watch a bump press man defense on the outside, if you're going to be able to see a guy and get out of 1, 2, 3, throw, 1, 2, 3, throw, and be able to be a guy that instead of throwing on a rhythm is able to watch a wide receiver break coverage and anticipate and throw the ball to the spot the wide receiver is going to be and not the spot where he should be, that's how you're going to be great. And I don't know if Adler's got that. But I'll tell you what Penn State does have. I think Penn State's got the ability to take advantage of that. Why? Because what does Penn State want to do? Run the ball, get the ball to the tight end. That's their game plan. Run the ball, get the ball to the tight end. And I think if they are able to do that, I'm going to feel a lot better about their chances to win. And then there's the other side of the coin, and that's the Penn State defense. Now, we are still waiting to find out. I have not seen, this does not mean there hasn't been one yet. I just haven't seen it yet. An update on Abdul Carter, who is a monster off the right edge. Monster. Game-changing caliber monster. But I'll tell you what I like about Penn State, and this has been something I've talked about throughout their entire playoff run thus far. Penn State knows who your playmaker is, and they're going to come get him. They did it against Kevin Jennings in round 1. They did it against Ashton Janty in round 2. I talked about that on Monday. Had somebody text the show go, wait a minute, Rob, he still had 103 yards. Yeah, on 30 carries. He had his season-low rushing yard total on 30 carries. And on top of that, as Denton Day pointed out last night, or yesterday afternoon, yesterday morning, whatever it was, as Denton Day pointed out yesterday morning, late in that game.
Just say Wednesday.
Yesterday. I'll just say yesterday. Yesterday, Boise State was giving the ball to Ashton Janty late in that game after the game was decided. Game was over, and they're giving it to Janty. Why? Stat pad, right? Let him finish with 100 yards. Let a Heisman runner-up season cap off with a 100-yard game in the playoffs. It was a stat pad. He really was closer to like 75 yards, 70 yards. Way a season low. 100 yards below, over 100 yards below his season average. They got him there. This is why I like Penn State. Because they're going to say, look, we're going to get after your playmaker, like the guy you want to go to, and you got to beat us elsewhere. And here's my thing. For all the talk that we have had about Drew Aller, the quarterback, Riley Leonard is kind of in that same zone to me. Like, Riley Leonard's good enough. But Riley Leonard is a dude that I think wants to throw to where a receiver should be, not where a receiver is. Now, he's got some playmakers for sure. But I think he's a guy who wants to go to where a guy should be, not a guy where a guy is. And I think that's a problem. Here's the third problem. Riley Leonard is a guy that if you play bump on the outside and you take his timing away from him, his natural reaction, and it's fine because he has the ability. But his reaction is what? Put the ball away, run between the tackles. I don't think he can do that against Penn State. I think Penn State's defense wins this game. I'm on the under in this game for what it's worth. I think that Penn State's defense pins the ears back. And I will say this. I said this about the Georgia team in the Notre Dame-Georgia game. I think Georgia made one critical mistake in this game. Georgia's defense played soft. For a team that over the past handful of years has made their entire identity, we're going to kick your ass at the line of scrimmage on defense. We are going to go get big old monsters. We're going to line them up 4 across the front, and we are just going to whip you at the line of scrimmage. I went back and watched, specifically in the third quarter, where Georgia kind of had their back against the wall because they gave Notre Dame points to end the first half. They gave Notre Dame points to end the second half. All of a sudden, it's a 2-score game. This is the point where I expect a Kirby Smart team to throw caution to the wind and go, look, if Riley Leonard burns us down the field when we play bump man on the outside, he burns us. It is going to be what it's going to be. Tell you what we're not going to do. What we're not going to do is let Riley Leonard beat us with his legs up the middle. What we're not going to do is let Notre Dame run the ball on us. We're going to make them throw. They're going to have to make a stellar play, and anytime they don't, it's going to stop the clock and preserve precious seconds for us. What did Georgia do? The exact opposite. For some reason, Georgia started playing off the ball. For some reason, Georgia started playing back. And what happened? Riley Leonard was just picking up 4, picking up 6. I think he only ended with what, like 70, 75 rushing yards, something like that? I mean, it wasn't a huge day for Riley Leonard. But that's because he was just getting first downs. Keep in mind, at that point in the game, Notre Dame is trying to bleed the clock. They are trying to kill time off the clock. So I don't need to see Riley Leonard going out there and breaking off 20, 22, 24-yard runs. Riley, find the sticks, get to him, go down, baby. Keep that clock chugging along. That's what he did against Georgia. I don't think Penn State gives that to them. I don't think Penn State allows that. Texter said, Rob, you're wrong again. Notre Dame's offensive line is bigger and better than Boise. I'm going to say 2 things about that, Texter. Number 1, I think Boise State's offensive line was underappreciated. All right? I really do. Ashton Jeanty was good. Got to have a hole to run through. I don't care how good you are. I agree with you. Notre Dame's offensive line is bigger and better than Boise. Penn State dominated Boise's offensive line, right? Like, even if Notre Dame is bigger and better, and I agree with you that they are, Texter, even if they are bigger and better, I would also point out that they got whipped. Penn State owned the line of scrimmage. Ashton Jeanty wasn't able to break things off just because he is very good. And he is. He was able to break things off for one reason and one reason alone. The offensive line opened the hole. He couldn't break things off against Penn State. Why not? Because Penn State just took the line of scrimmage away. This is why I pointed out, and we talked about this back in the first hour of the show. What I really enjoyed about the Penn State game against Boise is that they knew exactly what they needed to do. They took Ashton Jeanty away, and they said, hey, we're going to go get you. And what did Boise's quarterback Madsen do? He dropped a few darts. Boise State stayed alive as long as they did, not because of Ashton Jeanty. Boise State stayed alive as long as they did because they had a quarterback who was dropping darts. They had a quarterback that was seeing the field, watching the field develop, and dropping darts. Here's my question. Do you feel like Riley Leonard is that guy? If Penn State says we are selling out on the run, we're going to play press man on the outside, and we're going to trust that our guys are better than your guys on the edge and at quarterback? Do you trust Riley Leonard to be a guy that is so precise through the air that you can make Penn State back off? Because here's the deal. Football's a simple game, guys. It really is. It's made complex, but it's a simple game. If you are the offense, what are you doing when you are drawing up and diagnosing plays? What are you doing? You are trying to create situations where I got more guys over here than you got guys over here. That's the game plan. You are trying to figure out where's the defense going to put more guys so that I can put more guys in a different place and put the ball there. That's football. Offensively, football at its core is real simple. I want more dudes than you got dudes at this spot on the football field, and then I got to get the ball there. I'll tell you what Penn State's been doing. They've been putting more dudes at the line of scrimmage. That's what they're doing. They're saying, we're going to tell you what we're going to do. We're going to put all our dudes here. This is where we're going to put more dudes. And if you want to beat us, you've got to get the ball where you have more dudes. Or where you have the same amount of dudes, but your dudes are better. That's the other option. I would have more dudes than you got dudes at one spot. But if you have the same amount of dudes, I need my dudes to be better dudes than your dudes. I've said dudes in an inordinate amount of time at this point. One-on-one coverage on the outside. What I'm looking for in that spot is for my dudes to be better than your dudes. I want to have a dude on the outside that I can throw the ball out there, and my dude's just going to outplay your dude. But in order to do that, I got to have a dude throwing the ball that I trust to put in the right spot. I would ask Notre Dame fans, do you trust Riley Leonard as that dude? Do you trust Riley Leonard to give your wide receivers an opportunity to go make a play? That's my question. And I will tell you straight up, I like Riley Leonard. My wife loves Riley Leonard. He's a very handsome, rugged-looking individual for a quarterback, for a prep. He is. Do you trust that dude? Because I'll tell you, against the Penn State defense I've seen the last two games, the answer is not really. Not really, because they're going to take the run away from him, which means now Riley Leonard has got to get the ball and stand in the pocket. You can't run. I think Notre Dame sells out to take the quarterback run away from Riley Leonard. And if that is the case, my question mark is, do I trust him to make the throws until what? Until Penn State starts to back off. Until Penn State goes, you know what? He's getting us. So now we got to put another dude back there so that it's not one-on-one. So we have more dudes than they have dudes down the field. And if they got to take a guy away from selling out to prevent Riley Leonard from taking off with the football, what's that mean? Now I got more dudes to block for Riley Leonard. Now Notre Dame's got more dudes in the box. And if I got more dudes in the box, now what am I doing? Snap it to Riley Leonard, look down the field, nobody's available. Now you go. And you throw Penn State's defense off balance. Penn State has not been thrown off balance yet. There were two teams that were able to throw Penn State off balance. Do I think that Notre Dame can do that? Is it possible? Yes. Do I trust Riley Leonard? He's got to break out with the legs, and I don't trust that. As far as Penn State goes, there were two teams that threw them off balance. Ohio State threw them off balance in the second half, which was why it was a one-score game. And Oregon threw them off balance in the Big Ten championship. You know, the consensus number one team in America and the only team to beat that team are the two teams that there is no right now. Notre Dame's good. And I like Notre Dame, and I like what Marcus Freeman is doing. Is Notre Dame now as good as Oregon was when they came into the Big Ten title game? No. Is Notre Dame right now as good as Ohio State was down the stretch with the exception of the Michigan game? Which, by the way, what did Michigan do? Michigan said, we're going to put more dudes at the line of scrimmage, and Henderson and Judkins are not going to beat us. What have I said is the number one mistake that, not Ryan Day, Chip Kelly made that cost Ohio State that Michigan game? He looked at the box. He said, Michigan's got 7, sometimes 8 in that box, and we are still going to run into the box. We are going to keep running into where they got dudes. And it ended up in a spot where Michigan said, we got more dudes, and Chip Kelly said, I don't care. I'm still coming there. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, The team that's got more dudes is going to win that spot. Ohio State never said, let's go to where we got more dudes. What did Ohio State do in rounds 1 and 2 of the playoffs? They went, oh, Jeremiah Smith, that's a dude, and he's a better dude. So when they put one dude on our dude, we're going to throw the ball to that dude and let that dude go be a dude. And Jeremiah Smith's a dude. And then when you started backing off to try to take away the dude advantage on the outside, that's where Judkins becomes a hoss. Because now I got more dudes in front of my running back. Now he wins that battle. I don't know if Penn State, or I don't know if Notre Dame can do that to Penn State the way that Ohio State's done that to Oregon. We'll see. You know what else we'll see? Lulu Kesin from the Greenville News in the next segment. You know what you're about to hear? Lonzo sheftying your ears with this sports flash.
Still believe Ryan Day took over play calling. We'll see. The Eagles are one step closer to the return of quarterback Jalen Hurts, who has been in concussion protocol since December 22nd. Hurts returned to practice yesterday. Wednesday was Hurts' first practice since the injury, as the Eagles get prepared for a first-round matchup with the Green Bay Packers on Sunday. The Clemson Tigers are back in the transfer portal once again, also the transfer portal, this time landing former Alabama edge rusher Jeremiah Alexander. Alexander joins former Purdue defensive end Will Helt and Missouri State receiver Tristan Smith on the roster. Alexander is a former 5-star recruit from the 2022 class who played high school ball with current Tigers defensive end Peter Woods. Tune in Saturday at 11:30 as the Furman Paladins take on the Wofford Terriers. It's Furman versus Wofford. It's a rivalry right here on your home for Furman Paladins basketball. Fan Upstate.
Up to the minute upstate traffic. Looks like we have delays northbound I-85 and mile marker 77. That's 85 business. Construction, that's still up in the left lane. In the back up northbound I-85 at Boiling Springs Road, broken down vehicle. Looks like maybe a 5-minute delay there. And ongoing construction southbound I-85 at Pelham Road. That's going to start to back up back towards Highway 14. From the News Talk 98.9 WRD Traffic Center, I'm Lori Houston on the Fan Upstate.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com. The election is finally over, and with a new pro-business administration about to start, at Swish Funding, we're committed now more than ever to help America's small businesses come out of the surviving years and into the thriving years. Whether you need funds for cash flow, expansion, or new equipment, Swish Funding will always have your back.
Friday from 7 to 11, only on The Fan.
Upstate.
MGM Tonight is the red zone for casual and hardcore sports fans. Live sports betting updates for all of the night's games as they happen. Get the latest scores, sides, totals, props, parlays, futures, and much more with real-time, relevant sports wagertainment tonight at 7. Bet MGM Tonight, exclusively
Didn't
on
realize, but I guess it
Upstate.
makes sense. She hasn't really been here very long, so she hasn't experienced
It's the Rob Brown Show.
how this area deals with snow. Two broke girls. Now let's go out to Masters coverage.
Thank you for joining us after another incredible episode of Two Broke Girls. I
Saw a
don't know
clip
if it's
yesterday of
quite
Kat Dennings
appropriate to
where
say
some
right now.
reporter was
Kat
like,
Dennings.
Do you ever get
Absolute
tired
smoke
of
show.
people
So hot.
talking
The
on
only
the
thing on
internet
this
about how
network
beautiful
more
we are?
beautiful
She's
than
like,
Augusta
I don't see it.
National
I'm
Golf
just
Course
really, I just
is
don't see
Kat
myself.
Dennings.
that way. I don't think I'm that
News.
good. I was like,
It's
shut
the
up.
Rob Brown Show. Now
Shut
morning
up,
6 to
Kat
10 on
Dennings.
The Fan.
You know better.
You think it's legitimate
The Fan.
humbleness, or you
I
think
listen. I understand it because I genuinely, and I'm not kidding when I tell people I think it's this. But like, if they're going to be
246
doing it, so like, I understand that voice in your head. That's like, you know how everybody tells you you're a thing, no, you're not really that thing. I understand that, but like, come on, Kat Dennings.
You're an official.
You're a
Rob
smoke
Brown
show. Knock it off.
Lowdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Get robbed.
Only on
The Fan. Upstate.
I'm a winner. I know how to win.
Yeah, buddy. Welcome in hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Show. Goes right now. It is the Fan Upstate. I am Rob Brown. Directly across from me on the other side of the metaphorical glass, the man in charge of this and every radio program you've ever enjoyed, and half of the ones you haven't. The legendary, great one, Lonzo, is here as well. But now, ladies and gentlemen, as we do every Thursday at 8 a.m., we take a brief little trip right on down the road on interstate, whichever one it is that you got to go to get to Columbia. 385? No, that's north-south.
385 turns to 26.
That's the one. That's what I was going to say.
So I mean, so you're kind of right. They merge and become one.
You go southeast-ish so for some amount of time over to Columbia, South Carolina, and we welcome in a lovely young lady who reports on the Gamecock Athletic Department for the Greenville News. The lovely Lulu Kesin joins us here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Good morning, young lady. How do you do?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you guys?
I'm exceptional. Thanks. How's the new year treating you so far? We are 9 days in. Have you reached all your resolutions yet?
Yeah, just checking off every box minute by minute. Couldn't be better. No. Things are going well. I am still. I can't believe that last week on the show I admitted I watched Curious George. That still haunts me a little bit. But besides that, I'm very good.
And so it's Lulu Kesin, I promise. The things that Lonzo and I have admitted to on the show are way worse than that. You're fine. You're good. I will say this. I didn't know this. I learned this morning, Lulu. The second Friday of the new year, which is tomorrow, January 10th, is known as Loser's Day, because it is the day that most people acknowledge is the first day that they stop dry January, or they stop the I'm going to eat healthier or the I'm going to work out resolutions. Tomorrow is Loser's Day. What's the resolution you made for New Year that's going to be hardest to keep for you?
That's a good question.
Are you a resolutions person? Let's start with that.
See, I'm not. I try, this is going to come across probably sounding very cheesy, but like I really try to work under the mentality like it's never too late to set a goal and you don't ever need like a certain time. So like I've definitely had New Year's resolutions, quote unquote, start in like July, like or resolutions, I guess, just start like randomly. So I was trying, with the holidays and being home and then covering the bowl game, like New Year's Eve really snuck up on me this year. So I kind of didn't have a ton of time. Maybe, I honestly don't really think I set one. There's definitely things in my life I need to be more consistent with and work on, but probably just like waking up more regular at the same time. Like I don't sleep in, but I still don't wake up at the same time every day. So maybe I'll say that.
See, I've got one for all of us: to be a better person this year than I was last year. I mean, we can all say that.
Yeah, but that's so abstract, though. That's so abstract. Yeah, you gotta set a goal. That's not a goal.
If you're a really bad person.
I mean, I guess it is if you suck.
Yeah.
But like none of us suck.
Right.
So
True.
There's that. Lulu Kesin for the Greenville News joining us here on the Rob Brown Show. You can follow her across the social media, specifically on the X at Lulu Kesin, Kesin. Let's dive right in, Lulu. And the big news right now, Shane Beamer named one of the 8 finalists for the 2024 Paul Bear Bryant Coach of the Year Award, which I think is well deserved. I think this is a year, Lulu Kesin, that if it's grown upon, it feels to me. And obviously, I think a lot of us are looking for the optimistic stance. We're looking for that silver lining always. Did this kind of feel like a year that was a turning point for Shane? This kind of felt like a year that you go, okay, maybe this is a milestone year. Maybe this is a year that Gamecock fans look at 2, 3, 4 years down the road. If they compete for an SEC title game, they go 2024 was the year we kind of found the magic a little bit. I think this is well earned for Shane Beamer.
Totally. I think it's fair to say his seat definitely got cold after this year as well. I mean, some people kind of thought like, all right, after my whole perspective on this year was, can Shane prove that last year wasn't going to happen again? That last year was just a random outlier year because he had a pretty decent rookie year as a coach. Obviously, 2022 until this year was his best year. And then he dropped just a goose egg with a 5-7 season last year. So I do think that this season was a turning point in the program where Shane was able to say, last year was a fluke. That's not going to happen again. That's not going to be the way that we play. That's not going to be the amount of games that we win. Here's our standard, and we're going to continue to meet it or try to exceed it year after year.
I think that, and obviously, it is a combination of setting the culture, demanding that the people within the program adhere to the culture, but also finding that talent. And Lulu Kesin, I pointed out for many years that when it comes to recruiting, it's just like money, right? The rich get richer. The best way to become a billionaire is to start off as a millionaire. The fact that Shane found some of that talent, homegrown talent, guys that he recruited, guys that he brought in, guys that he got in from the portal, the fact that he was able to do that and succeed with it, I think the ramifications of that are you're going to start seeing more and better recruits and transfer portal guys start to show up. That's how you begin the trend upward for a college football program.
Right. And the transfer portal in 2025 is even going to be so different than the transfer portal in 2023, 2024. Like, college football and the entire landscape is changing so rapidly. And Shane needs to kind of prove that with every twist and turn, like, he's not phased. And I know that kind of sounds like weird in general, but like some of his, his fellow coaches that have been doing this for so long, or people that are just less willing to cooperate, I guess it's a clear lack of understanding that things in, the 2025 season are going to be different than they were this year or last year. So be it. Shane's recruiting the right people to kind of to go through the twists and turns, but obviously with a lot of what's going on with the financial aspect of college football, like Shane's recruiting methods are everything's different. And I think what was most impressive to me this season was his ability to kind of stay with it and adjust and find people that worked, because I can't look, I don't think people were fighting over Demetrius Knight in the transfer portal because they didn't know what he could bring. But Shane clearly saw something that he knew exactly what he was doing, and it paid off. Things like that, players like that, which I think speak volumes for Shane's ability to recruit.
Lulu Kesin of the Greenville News joins every Monday at 8 a.m. to talk about the Gamecocks here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Season's been over since the bowl game a couple of weeks ago now, because time flies at this point, Lulu Kesin. As far as the mentality, the attitude, kind of where in the off-season program are the Gamecocks? Is Shane Beamer right now? I mean, obviously, recruiting never sleeps. Working that portal never sleeps. We saw Aaron Nolan come down from Ohio State. I'm assuming there's going to be some other guys that are making moves, et cetera. But kind of what's the attitude? What's the mentality? Where is the program right now that the season has been put to bed?
Well, to answer your question, like physically, like the students just moved back from break, which means that all the new recruits that graduated high school early have moved onto campus and will begin training with South Carolina. So it's not the first year that they do this, obviously, like, excuse me. Last year, I know that Mazio Bennett and like David Busey, they were there in January. But yesterday I saw a post of all the new players moving in. So I think that despite how the season ended and despite the pretty large amount of people who have already declared for the NFL draft, like, I think, I don't want to say who's left because there are a lot of people, but who is left of the 2024 team seems very eager and excited to kind of continue working and yeah, they took a physical break, obviously, maybe in the last like 2 weeks or so, but it from the vibe of people like Jalen Kilgore and Lenoris, like the hard work didn't stop, and they're very, very eager to kind of continue on the up from what they did in 2024.
Lulu Kesin joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Talking a little Gamecock football. We'll flip it over to the women's basketball team here in just a moment from right now. As far as the defense next year, we just had a commenter on our live stream, Lulu, say the Gamecock defense is elite, but we lose 4 to the draft. What can you tell us about names that are gone, that are coming back, that are sticking around, that you think, and I know we're obviously way early, we're not even kind of close to spring yet, but what are your thoughts on what that Gamecock defense that down the stretch did hold its own against teams like Alabama, et cetera? What do you think this defense shapes up to be like next year?
Well, I think that there's no denying the fact that the defense is losing some of its most important pieces. So, like, obviously, Kyle Kennard, he's gone. That said, I think Kyle Kennard might be the easiest position to fill because I think Brian Thomas Jr., who played in the bowl game and who will be a senior next year and who's very experienced, will fill into that slot, like, very easily. Then there's people like Demetrius Knight, Debo Williams, linebackers that are a little bit tricky to point your finger to and say, oh, blah, 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 we'll replace. But at the same time, they've spoken very highly of like Fred J.R. Johnson. Then there's players, like Boogie Huntley. How do you replace someone like him who's quite literally been the heart and soul of the D-line for almost 6 years now? And then who else? I'm trying to think off the top of my head who else has declared. But then you're returning players, like obviously Dylan Stewart, who's only going to be a sophomore next year. So there's fundamental pieces of the defense that are leaving, but like they got, I think from Florida State, like Sean Murphy, he was a 4-star recruit out of high school. He's a linebacker coming in. I know at least 2. Oh, Nick Sharp, right. He's an offensive lineman. Who's the D lineman that I'm like checking my notes. But anyways, they're losing people on defense, but that said, I'm more confident in who they have as underclassmen on defense to replace some of the key players rather than on offense. I'd argue that the people that they're losing, they might need to go into the portal to get.
Lulu Kesin joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Lulu, obviously, we've got to talk about a bit of an issue with the women's basketball team, and that is the fact that one of the leaders of this team has gone down with an injury. That is something that's going to have to be dealt with. You're going to have to work around the loss of Ashlyn. Talk to me a little bit about what this team shapes up to work around the loss of one of the leaders who was a part of what that was done last year and somebody who has been a dedicated point scorer and I think underappreciated as a rebounder this year.
Mm-hmm. Huge loss for South Carolina. As Don Staley said yesterday, only time will tell. I think not having Ashlyn is different from not having a couple other players. That said, the only way that Don's fully going to know the impact, I think, is tonight against Texas A&M and especially Sunday against Texas. Ashlyn's, her numbers speak for itself. She's an incredibly talented and, instrumental part of the team, especially on defense. She brings just a different level of athleticism and in skill and kind of game IQ. You know, it's sort of a blessing that she doesn't start, in the sense that South Carolina still has obviously two very capable forwards technically ahead of her. And then Joyce Edwards, I see Joyce Edwards' minutes just increasing with this. You know, a lot of people were kind of in panic mode when the news came out, and a lot of people were focusing, you know, myself included in my writing. Of course, I talked about Sakima Walker and Adele Tack and Marianne Dauda, but right now, to me, my impression is just that until Sakima and Adele are 100% healthy and Miriam's confident, you know, Staley's words, not necessarily mine, but I think that it's just going to be Chloe Kitts and Sanaya Fagan play a little bit more as starters, and then it's just going to be one sub, Joyce Edwards, off the bench rotating in for them. And I see that those three getting a minutes increase. So that's why I'm not in panic mode yet. Definitely not ready to write off this team, as I know some people are. And I think that it's important to remember South Carolina is still the number one team, in the sense that Dawn Staley isn't going to recruit a player that she doesn't think can play with the best of the best. So I trust that anyone on her roster will step up in Ashland's absence whenever that time may come for them. But I think for the immediate future, it's just kind of going to be an increase of minutes for Joyce Edwards off the bench.
It is obviously going to be an interesting adaptation, especially considering, Lulu Kesin, you're about to hit a very interesting part of the season. You've got one more unranked that's coming up tonight when the Aggies come to the crib, but then you start a game of, or a run of 5 consecutive top 18 teams. You've got number 5 Texas coming to the house. Then you're on the road at Alabama, back home for Oklahoma and LSU, number 10 and 6 respectively. And then you got to go out to Tennessee, number 16 in the country. I mean, I guess the good news, if there is any here, is that you've got at least a little bit of a tune-up to figure out what this team's going to have to do without Ashlyn Watkins. But then we get into the meat and potatoes of the SEC season, where it's really going to start to pick up a little bit.
Yeah, I can't get over that kind of 4-game stretch, going from Alabama to Oklahoma to LSU to Tennessee. Like that's a lot of incredibly talented basketball, and it doesn't necessarily stop. I mean, that they end the season with Kentucky, and obviously Kentucky's red hot right now. Like the SEC is good this season, and I think as Dawn Staley said yesterday, like having these incredibly talented SEC teams, she thinks is a really great measuring stick, and it's a way that South Carolina is kind of able to measure itself against some of the best and the best and national championship, you know, potential teams. So I'm curious to see how South Carolina weathers the storm, especially without Ashlyn.
Lulu Kesin covers the Greenville News, covers the Gamecocks for the Greenville News. You can follow her on X at Lulu Kesin, Kesin. Joins us every Monday at 8 a.m. Nope, Thursday. I'm going to get through this, Lulu Kesin. My New Year's resolution is to like relax, calm down a little bit, and I'm very clearly failing.
That's funny. I also forgot to mention, I saw on Twitter, do you watch Shrinking, Rob?
Do I watch what?
Do you watch Shrinking with Harrison?
Oh, I'm in love. I'm in love. Harrison Ford might be the funniest individual on television right now. I adore that show.
Okay, good. I saw that you tweeted about him, and don't get me wrong, I know that Harrison Ford has a ton of things besides Shrinking, but yeah, I won't spoil. I mean, what season are you on?
I am still grinding through season 1. We finished episode 6 last night. And like I said, this is my favorite Harrison Ford role since he wore a leather jacket and flew the Millennium Falcon.
Honestly, my boyfriend might have the same opinion there. It's so good, and I'm jealous that you get to watch it like season 1 and season 2, because I watched it like 2023 and then had to wait until October for the second season. So enjoy the fact that you can just cruise through it, but it's one of my favorite shows. It's absolutely genius in my opinion.
See, Lulu Kesin not only has great taste because she's willing to come on the Rob Brown Show weekly, but great taste in entertainment too. The best. Lulu Kesin from the Greenville News here on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate every Thursday at 8 a.m. Young lady, we appreciate it as always. Tell your mom I said hi. We'll talk to you next week.
I will. Have a good day. See you
You're the
guys next
best. Lulu Kesin here on the show. When we come back here in just a minute, we'll talk a little NS Football League because it is Wild Card Weekend. Then Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast joins us in about 20 minutes. Hatin Ass Mario at 9 o'clock. Fight up with Lonzo at 9:20. Then we ask what the X is going on and call it a day on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Real sports talk, real sports fans.
The Fan Upstate
Is the sports voice of you, the Upstate fan. Call 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-326-3663. The Fan Upstate.
Panthers finished their season with a 5-12 record, and more importantly, also have their quarterback moving forward after the play of Bryce Young in the second half of the season. I'm Jim Zoki with a Panthers update after this.
All right, guys, step it away just a minute. We're right back.
something for your business. Save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
Sponsored by Rapid Radios.
Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Business owners can now keep in touch with up to 200 staff members at one time. Go to rapidradios.com now for up to 60% off and free shipping.
The Fan Upstate. Here's how to get in the game. On your radio at 97.7 FM, 1330 AM, Greenville. 97.1 FM, 950 AM, Spartanburg.
Listen on your phone, download the Odyssey app, and search The Fan Upstate.
There's a whole lot more to know about sound if you really want to go into the subject.
Your smart speaker. Just say play 97 The Fan Upstate. On your HD radio at WFBC HD3. Oh, there's just one more thing. And on your computer at The Fan.
FanUpstate.com.
Rise and shine, sports fans. Grab your coffee and a jolt of sports on the Rob Brown Show.
Puts me in my zone. It gets me ready for the day.
On The Fan Upstate.
What? What in the... I don't know what you...
Let's get you back for that horrible audio that you keep playing over and over again. And haven't played today, and now I doomed myself to hear it again. No, not that, but that's fine.
Which one? I like them
the
all.
Weird thing that you slowed down.
Oh, my boomer clip.
People are probably running off the road when you play that. It's just so.
If you don't know where that came from, Chris Berman was really excited about the pick of Matthew Judon that he took back for 6 in the Falcons game a couple of weeks ago. So he went like during the replay. So then I just slowed it down and it turned into this, and it's just
what possessed you to want to do that, though? That's the weird thing. I mean, what made you go, you know what? I wonder what that sounds like slowed down.
I don't know. I can't explain it. It just happened. I heard it. I went, I bet that's really funny if you slow it way down. Turns out I was very correct. It is objectively hilarious.
Funny is not the word.
Let's take a look at our NFL Super Wildcard Weekend upcoming, ladies and gentlemen. We have got our first round of the NFL playoffs starting this weekend. Somehow it's the playoffs already. It feels like we just kicked off the season yesterday. But let's take a look at our wild card weekend as it is scheduled. Lonzo, we kick everything off this Saturday with the AFC side of the bracket. The Chargers are on the road at the Texans Saturday at 4:30 p.m. The Texans are the, according to Vegas odds, least respected team in the National Football League playoffs. They are one of the biggest dogs to win the Super Bowl, not necessarily in game one, but I got to tell you, this feels like a game that Jim Harbaugh just plays bully ball with the Chargers, right? Like we have seen a couple of spots, and I do want to point out, everybody say, oh, it's a sophomore slump for CJ Stroud. I mean, technically that is correct. The numbers aren't what they were last year, but I would also point out that if you go look at rookie passing efficiency in year one, CJ Stroud had one of the most impressive rookie passing efficiency ratings of all time. You throw in some injuries, you throw in the changes that took place this year, and what I think you'll notice is that CJ Stroud's second year is pretty standard rookie second year for most players. Like once teams have kind of figured out where to apply pressure to you in order to get you off your game. CJ Stroud has, I will absolutely say regressed, but I will say regressed to the mean. He's not like fallen off where it's like, oh, maybe he's not who we thought. He's regressed to the mean. He is in a class with most other rookie quarterbacks who are successful in year number 2. And I do think you have to point out it is year number 2 of the new administration. It is year number 2 of the DeMeco Ryans era. It is year number 2 of these Texans as constructed. I would also point out that, again, we've mentioned this Texans wide receiver core has been banged up quite a bit throughout the season. So much as we have talked about with some of the other quarterbacks, C.J. Stroud has had very few games since week 5 or 6 where he's had his entire wide receiver core. But at the end of the day, the numbers are what the numbers are. The production is what the production is. And the offense for the Texans this year just not as potent as it was last year. Chargers -3 on the road. Remember, you get the 3 for being at the crib, meaning that Vegas believes the Chargers are about a touchdown better than the Texans. And Lonzo, I am inclined to agree. Give me the Chargers on the road as the first wild card team to win in the wild card. Super wild card round to win.
Here's the thing. I thought the Chargers would be picked to win by more than that. I think the line is surprising to me.
The line at -3, and again, you get 3 Texans catching 3 points for being the home team. It's really more of like a 6.5 line if it's neutral site, which I think is fair. I think a touchdown's fair.
I think the Chargers are that much better than the Texans. So I would have thought they would have been like a 14-point favorite.
14,
and a lot of people down on the Texans. I got to go with the Chargers.
Yep, so do I. I'm going with the
want
Chargers.
the Texans to win, just because if they do, then a bunch of people on the Texans team will have to wear Ohio State jerseys the next day.
I did see that. I did see that.
Hilarious.
What if we get a Harbowl in Jim's first year back in the league, in the dance? What if we get a Harbowl Super Bowl Volume 2.0?
It very much could, and probably will happen, I think.
I don't know if I'm ready to say the Chargers are running the table out of that side of the bracket, but we'll find out. The second wild card game on Saturday, the Steelers at the Ravens. This is your biggest line of the weekend. The Ravens favored by 9.5 points. They are at home, so Vegas feeling like they're about a touchdown better than the Steelers. Listen, I have been interested in the Steelers. I don't know what happened. They got to 10 wins. They got themselves their guaranteed winning season for Mike Tomlin, and the wheels have come off, including on the defensive side of the ball. This team has just fallen apart. I think the Ravens deconstruct the Steelers.
Yeah, there's unrest there, talking here and there. A lot of it has to do with entitled players. No one's pointing fingers, but we all know who it is.
Who is saying that?
Do you just like ignore those things, or they just don't pop up?
No,
on
I
your
genuinely
feed,
asking the question.
or
Who is
just,
saying that?
Okay, all right. I will look for articles in a moment for you. Pittsburgh hasn't won in a month. They're not going to win now.
I am not going to push back on that. I am not going to push back on that at all. I do think the Ravens, but again, I think this says as much about. I think this says as much about the if not more about the Ravens than it does about the Pittsburgh Steelers. I do think the Steelers have fallen off. I am not pretending to say that they have not, but I do think that ultimately, this is just the Ravens are good, dude. That's really all it is. The Ravens are good. Of those two teams, the two wildcard teams we have predicted to win, we are both on the Ravens. We are both on the Chargers. Which one of those two teams do you think is more Super Bowl equipped, knowing that the Ravens are obviously a divisional champ, a home team favorite? Do you think, because the Ravens are also a team that Kansas City's prepared for, whereas, they're more familiar with the Chargers. Do you really think the Chargers are a team that can make a legitimate run out of that spot?
No. We already know who I think is going to go to the Super Bowl, but the Ravens definitely better equipped than the Chargers. And at least as far as players go, I believe the Ravens have more experience. Coaching wise, Harbaugh's been there a bunch.
Sure thing.
Too. So I don't know.
Sure thing. Not a doubt about that. I don't know, man. I heard Lamar say the other day that he's at the point now where he's like, we had jitters. Like we've been a jittery team. We don't have those I don't know how many years in a row you can get away with. We've been a jittery team in the playoffs. Like sometimes you just got to go. They got your number. I got to vibe this year is a different year for the Ravens.
He gets nervous. He absolutely gets nervous in the playoffs. You can see it. You can see it in his footwork. You can see where he's quicker to do things that he doesn't do during the regular season. He has said, and I've heard him say a couple times, that he needs to calm down. He's not talking about the team. He's saying he himself gets too excited.
Lamar strikes me as a guy that he feels like it's on him to be put the team on the back guy, put on the cape, put the underoos on the outside
Here's
of
the
the pants
thing.
and be Superman.
When you get hype, it's hard to contain the hype. It's hard to say this is my level of hype. I'm not going above this hype. If you're a person who gets hype, you get hype.
That's true, but you know what happens if you get hype? You stay hype. I'm hype. Rashad Beard's here. We're going to talk to him coming up in the next segment. Talk a little Carolina Panther football because I can't help but believe that if you saw this year, you're not a little hype about next year. Let's put a wrap on the 2024 regular season. Take a look back at the season that was with Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. That is coming up next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Show.
All right, guys, let's step away for just a couple of minutes, get Rashad set up, and we will be right back. Don't go anywhere. Rashad Beard, what's up, fella?
Regenerative medicine, joint preservation. Yes.
What's going on, guys?
How
you doing, big dog?
Advanced
Good, hanging in there.
treatments at QC Kinetics.
Shout out to Zeke. Birthday. Happy birthday, big dog.
Happy birthday, Zeke.
An array of natural solutions like PRP to attack the pain from our
This isn't Ezekiel Elliott, is
No,
it? Are we sure?
He's on his way out to LA. He's a Charger now.
He's already there, I think, on the practice squad.
Yeah.
Watch Jim Harbaugh pop Zeke off in the playoffs for no reason.
Why
Watch
not?
Zeke start going for a $120 and a tutty a game.
I don't know if he still has that in him, but why not? Rashad, how much snow are you guys supposed to get?
It's Brian Baldinger.
1, 2, 3
presented by Hyundai. We will see a host of great games this weekend. One of which being a red-hot Baltimore team hosting a sluggish
North Carolina drivers better equipped than South Carolina drivers.
Not by much.
Matchups of the weekend will have Green Bay, Washington, Minnesota, all on the road as they look to exact revenge for regular season losses to the respective first-round opponents. Journey to the big game is presented by Hyundai. Now you can buy a new Hyundai at Amazon. Visit HyundaiUSA.com for more details.
T-Mobile 5G home internet keeps getting better. Get our fastest connection loaded with benefits. Get T-Mobile's best home internet starting at $55 a month with auto pay and any voice line. Plus, Price Lock. We won't raise your rate on internet. Check availability at T-Mobile.com/home internet. Exclusions like taxes and fees apply. Guarantees regular monthly rate plan price of fixed wireless 5G internet data with qualifying service. After $15.
I'm curious, does certified hater mode apply to any players that have left and went to anywhere?
Yeah, I've got some, I've got a couple stipulations here and there because, you got Tampa and Washington. There's a lot of former Panthers on the Washington football team, but you got Baker. So the hate for Tampa overrides. I'm going to go for the Commanders for this week. And then after that, hater mode is certified all the way up for the Commanders.
Yeah, one oodle is not enough.
Yeah, you got to have multiple oodles.
Don't hit snooze. Hit play. The Rob Brown Show. Now morning 6 to 10 on The Fan.
The Fan Upstate.
MGM tonight. Get the latest scores, sides, totals, props, parlays, futures, and much more. Real-time, relevant sports wagertainment. Weeknights at 7. BetMGM tonight, exclusively on the Fan.
I don't know where that clip. I gotta find that clip. I don't know where it is.
From the Ingalls Market Studio.
Tigers, Gamecocks, Panthers, Paladins, and Rebels. Punch your ticket to the best local sports. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg. Always streaming wherever you are on the Odyssey app.
Upstate.
Listen on the Odyssey app. Search the Fan Upstate.
Wrapping up hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob Lonzo, and now joining us as he does every Thursday at 8:40 on the clock. The host of the Panther Nation podcast. You can find them on X at Panther Nation PC. More importantly, hit up Panther Nation podcast on the YouTube channel. Make sure you are subscribed and liked up. To my guy, Rashad Beard, joining us here on the show. Football over for the Carolina Panthers. Bud, what are you doing Sunday?
Man, I don't know, man. I might turn on some playoff football. Maybe not. I don't know. You know.
All right. So genuine question. When it ain't the Panthers, how much NFL do you follow? Like away from Carolina, like you a Super Bowl guy, you a conference championship guy. I'm watching every game I can get my eyeballs on. Where you fall on the map?
Yeah, I'm kind of midway. It depends on the game, depends on the teams. I mean, I like a good game. Sometimes I get a little upset, because that's not my team, and I want my team to be in there. So, but I do keep my ears to the streets. I'm keeping my eye on things.
Lonzo asked you a question during the break. We got a clip, and I can't find it because my damn computer got reset. But a couple of years ago, I asked you if you were pulling for CMC after he became a 49er in a Super Bowl, and you said no. He didn't stay here. Certified hater mode engaged. Lonzo asked you during the break. I'm going to ask you on the air so you can talk to the people right now. You've got like a handful of Panthers that are active, former Panthers active in these playoffs. Are there any that you are pulling for, or is it just hater mode across the board?
No, I'm not pulling for any of them, man. It's hater mode is activated for playoffs. If there's a former Panther on your team, I'm not cheering for him. I'm cheering against them, to be quite honest. And listen, there's a couple scenarios you got to talk through. Commanders, Bucks. You got Baker Mayfield on the Bucks, former Panther. Then you got a bunch of Panthers on the Commanders. And so you got to pick and choose, and I just said that the hate for the Tampa Bay Bucks, the NFC South foe, is going to override the hate for the former Panthers. So this week I'm pulling for the Commanders to beat the Bucks, but after that, I've got to cheer against the Commanders. That's just
Can you blame the quarterbacks though? I mean,
no. I don't blame
Baker.
Him. Okay. No, I don't blame him one bit, but that does not change anything. That doesn't change anything.
So you're not rooting for Minnesota either because Sam Darnold.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah, Minnesota's out. I'm going for the Lions. Go Lions. I think that's the only team I can really truly cheer for.
Listen, the definition of a hater is being a hater. When there ain't no damn good reason to be a hater, yet you hate on anyway. My dogs, Baker and Sammy D, did nothing to you, Rashad, and you're still hating.
Oh, hold on. You were a Swiftie last year. Why are you going away from that this year?
Well, I'm rocking with them too. Yeah, that's okay. Give me the Lions, give me the Chiefs, and that's a game I can watch in peace. Hater. Well, except for Harrison Butker, but he's a kicker, so I'll let that one go.
Hey, if you were at camp when Butker was there, like I was, and you probably were there, he was going wide right every single time. I sat on the hill and watched him kicking towards me, and it's like, oh, this guy is so bad. And then he went to the Chiefs, and he is what he is. By the way, now he's a bunch of wide rights again.
You beat me. I was gonna make the joke. Yeah, you got me to it.
From the surgery, he has not been good.
Oh no, I was gonna make the joke that Harrison Butker going wide right is shocking to no one. And Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast joining us here on the show. All right, let's do a little post-mortem about the 2024 season. Rashad Beard, as you wrap it up with the obviously the couple of losses there down the stretch, but you get the win over the Falcons. Lonzo said this earlier in the week. He said, look, he felt like the one thing that this team was missing this year that you could go, okay, we are trending upward, like definitive, put a period on the end of the sentence, we are trending upward, was closing out a close game, was showing that when it's gut check time, you weren't going to fold like a lawn chair. You were going to be able to go out there and get it done. You do that against Atlanta to a spot that you almost had. The Saints were up 3.5 quarters on the Buccaneers. You damn near straight up cost Atlanta a playoff spot. There was pressure on in that game, and the Panthers found a way to finish. I don't have a problem with that take. I mean, to me, the best way to end that season was to gut out a close win in a divisional game to show that you can do it, because let's be real, you just got to get to 9 and you win this division, it feels like some years. That's about as good of an exclamation point on the 2024 season as I could have asked for, other than just blow them out.
Yeah, the Carolina Reaper returns, man. I love it, man. I love the way we close the season. You know, you stamped it, and you closed out the season on a high note, beating a division opponent, getting them out the playoffs. Essentially, thank you to the Tampa Bay Bucks for knocking the Falcons out. I'll take the Tampa Bay Bucks over the Falcons in the playoffs any day, even though Baker's a quarterback. See, there's stipulations to the hater mode. It kind of works out. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I think it was very well played. Very tough game. We almost blew it, like you said, but we came back. We fought through it. A depleted defense, and we just still got it done. You know what I mean? Bryce Young is proven week in and week out, getting better and better and better. Put the team on his back. The no-look fadeaway Steph Curry-like touchdown throw was amazing. And so I want to continue to see that, and let's see if this carries on into next season. But good energy. I feel great about the season. I feel really good the way things ended.
Just think about if he had thrown that touchdown and turned around and threw up the arms and the receiver dropped it.
Hey, look, you know what's funny?
That would have been bad.
It would have been really bad. You know what's funny? I would not have been surprised if that happened the way things have been going with our receivers. But shout out to Tommy Tremble, who caught the football, and it was a great, amazing play.
Bro, that might be the most high-pressure catch that he didn't know how high pressure it was. I said on Twitter, I'm like, yo, whether he drops it or catches it, that ends up being the most iconic gif of the 2024 season. Because if he puts that ball on the turf, then BY becomes that Swaggy P gif from a few years ago where he turns to put up the 3 and it bobs out in the background. Like that would, but that's a moment that if BY comes back next year and he keeps that trend going, bro, that's an iconic moment for the Panthers and a franchise that respectfully hadn't had one of those in a minute.
Yeah, we needed that, man. We needed that. That is almost a Cam Newton-esque type moment where you have all the Cam Newton celebrations, and now Bryce has his moment. You know what I mean? And Cam Newton even went on Instagram to say he seconds this. He endorses what the Bryce Young celebration, the turnaround, no look, touchdown pass. That's a signature move now. That's his thing. Put it on a T-shirt. I mean, I love it. I feel good about it, and I love I love the confidence that Bryce is showing. I love that his personality is starting to come out, and it's all heading in the right direction for me.
Rashad Beard here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. If I asked you, Rashad, to give me like one adjective, one word to describe this season, to wrap this season up, now that we've kind of got a couple of days in the back pocket to look at and think about it, what would you go with?
Roller coaster. I would say, yeah, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster, up and down. But I'll take it. We're on this point. We're going downhill now. Things are going great and not going great. Things are still yet to be determined on how things are going to turn into next season. But I love the way it closed. Just given the rough start with Bryce Young getting benched, we didn't know. We were having little discussions about trading him, or is he the guy? And he comes back and turns it completely around. And so, it's all good, man. Things are going great, and I love it. And sometimes you got to deal with this, with the ups and downs. And it's just a roller coaster ride, up and down. But we're heading in the right direction.
I can't think of anything you've ever said that's made me laugh as hard as things are going great. Well, not great, but like that.
I had to calm myself down a little bit. I get a little excited. I had to take a step back because we still got some question marks.
Like, not to be abstract, because we got more stuff to talk about, Rashad, but I to me, that's as good as I think I felt as somebody. I'm not a Panthers fan, but like, I like the team to do well because I get more money when they do. I'm a big fan of that. Like, as a Panthers supporter, because I get paid for it, that to me is about the most excited you've been in a while. It's like the fact that you're at a spot where you got to say, I got to stop myself from getting excited because it's been a minute since you felt that way.
Yeah, I don't think you've ever really seen me excited about with this, which is really unfortunate.
That's fair.
Yeah,
hang on. I've only been here 5 years, Rashad.
Yeah, but we haven't been, together that long. But listen, here's the thing. You know what I am most excited about, Rob? You want to know? I'm most excited about not being last and finishing last in the division. That's what I'm most excited about.
There it is. There it is.
Look, you're not last on a technicality, bro.
Hey,
all right, let's not pretend we didn't put a 47 spot on your head.
Hey, it is what it is. If you ain't first, you're last. And that's
you're not first, Rashad. What are you talking about? That's the worst thing.
I'm above you. That's all I can say.
Oh, okay. All right. We got Henry that just checked in, and it's a fair question. We were going to do kind of overall postmortem, but we did have some changes yesterday. Secondary coach Burt Watts, outside linebacker coach Tom LaCava, quality control coach Bobby Maffia all let go yesterday. When you start making changes at the position coach level, Rashad, that to me is dialing in, right? Like, and obviously we're going with the silver lining, optimistic view here. You're keeping Ejiro, which I'm not upset about. That man had to deal with an injury bug that was only outpaced by Detroit and theirs this year. And I thought he did an admirable job. When you start making position coach changes, but not the coordinator as a whole, I like to think that that's really dialing in as opposed to like, we got to sweep everything clean and start this over. From an optimistic standpoint, Rashad, the fact that you're going position coach changes feels like a good thing to me.
Yeah, I think so. And again, the Panther Nation, I'll speak for Panther Nation, they're on the fence with Ejiro, right? You had a historically bad defense. You gave up the most points in NFL history, right? It's not good. And so Panthers fans kind of wanted to see a change. But at the same time, you got to love Canales and Dan Morgan's steady approach here. You don't want to make any rash decisions. You know that you dealt with injuries, Derek Brown being injured, Shaq Thompson being injured, and a slew of other injuries. You didn't have the talent that you basically ended the season with a lot of undrafted guys. And I think what I said on my show on Tuesday was you basically chalked this season up to development of your depth, right? Guys like Damani Richardson, guys like Michael Jackson, guys like Trevin Wallace all had great seasons considering the circumstances, right? It wasn't good, but for them, it was a really good individual development season for those guys. So what you want to see is those guys come back, and maybe you can find other talent to improve upon those guys, but individually, those guys have improved, right? And that's what you want. You want to start building that depth. And that's what's important. So you take a look at it and say, all right, let's switch out some of these position coaches. And let's, like you said, dial in. And let's not make any rash decisions. Let's take a look at the scheme. Let's tweak some things here and there. And let's get this thing back on track. They believe and endorse Ejiro's scheme and his talent and his coaching ability. And only time will tell whether that's the right decision.
Leonard said in the chat, if you're not last, you're third.
Exactly.
That's what I was trying
to say.
T-shirts made. Look at Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast here for another minute or two. When you look back at 2024, we were talking about the South Carolina Gamecocks earlier, and I said, I think that this is a year, 2-3 years from now, if the Gamecocks are competing for an SEC title game, they're going to look back and go, 2024-25 was the year that we kind of turned that corner and started the trajectory upward that got us here. Do you feel like where we are right now, and obviously we're not even at spring practices yet, do you feel like this year may be a year that in a couple from now, not optimistically, realistically, that Carolina Panther fans look back and go, that was when Dave Canales found the stride. That's when BY became a dog. This is the year the Carolina Panthers made their way back into the NFC title picture.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I feel good. I feel good about that. I do feel like we're heading in the right direction. I do believe Canales is the guy. I mean, he's done great jobs. He's done wonders with Bryce Young, obviously in one season. And I think you can look back exactly right. Look back at this period and be like, hey, man, this was it. This is when we turn it around. And I'm confident they got to work on the defense, right? But I think the offense is taking stride, putting up 44. Man, I don't know when the last time that's happened for the Carolina Panthers. So I think we're heading in the right direction. And I think looking at Michael Penix and Bryce Young, I think that's a rivalry that you could see heading on to the future. Like, oh, this is it. This is really it. And I'm excited for it for sure. 1,000%.
Bryce Young, Michael Penix Jr., Spencer Rattler. That's the future, baby. We're locked in.
Yeah. I don't know how you threw him in that one, but yeah.
You're not fourth, you're third, baby. That's how we roll. Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. You can follow them on X at Panther Nation PC. Check them out on YouTube. Make sure you're liked up and subscribed up there as well. My guy, we made it through 2024. Next week, we go ahead and turn the page, start looking at draft.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're excited for the draft, excited for free agency. Got to get that first, right? A nice amount of cap space for the Carolina Panthers to make some moves. Dan Morgan's already talking about finding some talent to help that defense and to help Bryce Young potentially getting a wide receiver, maybe. Garrett Wilson trade, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Cap space must be nice. Why am I friends with you, bro? Why am I friends? I don't understand.
I don't know.
Talk to you next week.
Wow,
fella.
way to make it awkward.
Did you hear that laugh? That laugh was personal.
Yeah, okay.
That laugh came from deep.
Yeah.
That was a laugh from the damn chest is what that was.
It was deserved too. And you know, I mean, deal with it.
Rob, I'll see you in the bank next year. Let's have a good time. More bourbon, right?
Spencer Rattler's coming for your ass. That's what's happening, Rashad Beard.
We'll see.
Rashad Beard every Thursday at 8:40. We'll talk to you next week, fella. Appreciate it.
I got to see you next week.
Later on, we got Hatin Ass Mario Herron from the BetQL Network coming up next. Fight Club talking wrestling at 9:20. All of that after Lonzo hits you with the sports flash.
It's already been fighting up in here. I mean, calm down.
That laugh hurt my feelings.
The fifth-ranked Alabama basketball team knocked off South Carolina last night in Columbia, 88-68. Jacoby Wright led the Gamecocks with 20 points, but South Carolina had only 4 points off the bench while shooting just 3 of 14 from the three. That's not good. That's not good at all. The Gamecocks dropped to 10-5 and 0-2 in conference play. As wildfires continue to rage across southern Los Angeles and Southern California, the NFL says it's monitoring the situation and can move the wild card matchup between the Vikings and Rams to Arizona if necessary. If the move is made, the game would be played as part of a doubleheader on Monday night. The Rams said no players or staff have been impacted by the wildfires so far. Tune in this Saturday at 11:30 as the Furman Paladins take on the Wofford Terriers. It's Furman versus Wofford right here on your home for Furman Paladins basketball. The Fan, Upstate.
Up to the minute upstate traffic. Still have some heavy trucks treating the roadways. You may see that throughout the day. Also, northbound I-85 at Boiling Springs Road, that right lane still blocked off. I'm going to say maybe 5-7 minute delay. Southbound I-85 at Pelham Road, right there at the exit. Construction there. I'm going to say you're back up there. Pretty slow back beyond Brockman McClyman. From the News Talk 98.9 WRD Traffic Center, I'm Lori Houston on The Fan, Upstate.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-518-3899. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
What do you guys think? This time tomorrow, am I going to be looking out the window right here at Garlington and Woodruff and see
any longer. End your tax
big old fat, dismal, disgusting looking snow clouds?
800-518-3899.
Or just a little drizzle?
That's 800-518-3899. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if.
And how much of that bread really gets used that everyone panics and goes and gets?
Based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter
I mean,
board
are you
certified
just,
urologist and senior vice
so
president.
when you go out and you
Health
panic and you buy your loaf
In
of
my
bread, what do you
12
do with
years of
it? Do
practice
you
as a
just
reproductive
you
urologist,
think I got to hang on to the
many guys
bread
keep
because this
has
thing may
never
last
been
more than a
working
couple of
to treat,
days
and
and
is
I'm
right
going to need multiple sandwiches, or just I mean, you know, are you portioning it out? Okay, sandwich today, French toast tomorrow. You know, whatever's left, I'm gonna tear up and make meatloaf with it. I mean, what are you doing?
medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if
And
ED
also the
treatment
milk.
is right
What are
for
you doing with the
If
milk?
prescribed, your medication
Maybe
is
just a bunch of
shipped to you for
cereal?
free.
That's
So don't wait.
possible.
Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help.
But how do you know in a
ED
weather
for
event
To
how
start
much
your free
milk you
online
should
visit and find ED
buy
treatment
and
at up
or
to
drink?
95% off brand name prices. Go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com.
And how many people go out and
/joy
get
for your
milk
free
and bread
online
and they
visit.
never eat milk and bread?
To the best sports talk anywhere.
Normally during the week,
Listen to the Fan Upstate on
during the
Odyssey,
month,
no
or
matter
whenever.
where you are, in the car, at home, at work. Download the free Odyssey app on your phone. Search the Fan Upstate, and you're in the game. Hey, now we roll. The Fan Upstate. Your morning jolt of sports. It's the Rob Brown
Yes,
Show.
James, the Saints are about to get. We are $60 million. I'm not done.
Still?
I'm not done. How? We are $60 million above where the Detroit Lions are, and they are $16 million over the cap. We have $60 million above a team that is $16 million over the cap. $16 million is a reason to panic. We're $60 million more than that. The Saints are going to be bad for the next 5 years.
With no QB, too.
With no Spencer Rattler's my number. I'm not giving up on
They could be bad for the next 5 years and still contend for the South, though.
I don't think so. I think Carolina's going to be good next year. I genuinely do.
We'll see.
And check this out. Your unofficial Rob Brown lockdown. Represents being real. Yeah. Unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. Lockdown. This is the Rob Brown Show. Get robbed. Only on
The Fan Upstate.
I'm a winner. I know how to win.
Yeah, buddy. Starting off the final hour of the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. We got a lot going on. Our text poll question of the day is up right now. Here is the question. How many local sporting events do you go to in a month? Here are your options to text to 844-326-3663. If you go to no local sporting events, you're just not interested, you're too busy, you don't care, text none. If you go to like one or two, if you're bored, text some. If you go to a bunch, you're at Tribe games, you're at Triumph games, you're at Swamp Rabbit games, you're at Furman games, you're at Wofford games, text many. And if you're like a season ticket holder for one of those teams, if you're like me, you're at every local game you can get your eyeballs on, text all. Text none, some, many, or all to 844-326-3663, 844-326-3663. We'll tabulate those votes at the end of the show. So far, and this might be the first text poll that I actually believe you people. 60% of you say zero. You don't go to local sports. You don't care. The first time I actually believe the audience.
Well, you would know because you're there and you can see. I mean, I think there's still pretty good crowds.
Oh,
in
they're
this
decent
area,
crowds for
but
sure.
It could be better
compared to places I've been before. They're pretty good crowds, but compared to the size of the market, yeah, we're still pushing for sure. All right. We got Fight Club coming up in the next segment, but before we get there, joining us on the live stream, which you can watch at facebook.com/The Fan Upstate, The Fan Upstate on YouTube, or The Rob Brown Show on FaceTube. FaceTube?
Yep, that's right.
Am I 100?
Definitely FaceTube. On the FaceTube.
On Face.
That's something like in a movie where they can't say YouTube, so they say FaceTube, you know?
Or like backface on the other guys. Or
the Rob Brown
something
Show
like
on
that.
Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch because I'm young and hip and cool and I know what the words are.
Really? Because hip is really.
I'm not a square.
Okay. All right.
Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, search and subscribe to the Rob Brown Show. That voice that you just heard rudely interjecting on the show before he was introduced is that of the executive producer of BetMGM Tonight, which you can hear from 7 until 11 p.m. every single weeknight right here on this and find Odyssey stations nationwide. He is the executive producer. He is also an NFL and NBA analyst for the BetQL Network. He is Hatin Ass Mario Heron joining us here on the show. What's up, dude?
Hey, nothing much. You got me really thinking on that little text poll question you got going. Like, that just really spun me for a whirl because I moved to DC over the summer. I have not gone to a Nats game. I haven't gone to a Capitals game. I went to one college basketball game, and that's it, man. So I would do terrible.
All right. In fairness, though, you're kind of the exception because you work at nights when most of these games are, at least week nights. So it's like I assume like NHL games, you got a home Saturday game, what, like 2 times a month, maybe? So you're kind of the exception. But I'll tell you, like as somebody who works mornings, my nights are open, Mario. And I mean this, most of my best friends and closest relationships in this city, I have developed by going to our local soccer team, the Triumph, going to our local hockey team, the Swamp Rabbits. Like most of my best friendships here in this area were developed through local sports. Most of my like community engagements come through local sports. I have always said, I believe local sports are a major part of the heartbeat of any community. And yet I got 60% of my audience saying they don't go to local sports, which kind of blows my mind a little bit.
That is pretty crazy because, like, growing up in Indianapolis, like, you went to Pacers games all the time. Like, that was a huge part of, like, your weekends. Like, yeah, let's go to a Pacer game. Thursday night, let's go to a Pacer game. Like, it was just simple. It's easy. It's fun. You see people you know there cheer for your local team. You get into it a little bit. Maybe there's, a deal on some beer if that's your choice. That's a good time. Indianapolis Indians, they always did that. They always had, like, good deals. And then
I think you mean the Indianapolis Guardians.
Nope, it's still Indianapolis Indians. Fun fact for you.
Mario Herron from the BetQL Network joining us here on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Up. Saying, all right, let's talk some super wild card weekend. We get it off. Lonzo and I were talking about this one a few minutes ago. We got the AFC kicking it off on Saturday, 4:30 p.m., the Texans and the Chargers. Ryan and Brad, actually, no, Brad, because Ryan got up and left the interview. Freaking rude on Tuesday when I was on. But Brad asked, what wild card teams? It is no shock to anybody that I'm all in on the Commanders this postseason. I am a big fan, but from the AFC wild card list, I'm not a big Broncos believer. I'm definitely not a Steelers believer. The Chargers are super interesting to me. I think they catch the most favorable matchup in round 1, 3-point favorites on the road at Houston, which means Vegas believes they're about a touchdown better than the Texans. And on top of that, if they were to see the Chiefs, it would not be until the AFC title game because of the reseeding. Honestly, I'm kind of interested in what these LA Chargers are going to look like. Obviously, there's some drama going on with LA. What happens if they end up making it to the AFC title game and the Rams make it to the NFC title game? Unlikely. But even with all that's going on around LA, I think of the wild card teams, granted the 5 seed helps with this, but like the Chargers got about as friendly of a path as you could ask for.
They did, because you face a division winning team that's probably the weakest of them all, and the Houston Texans, who are coming in very hurt. All their best weapons are out for this game. CJ Stroud has taken a massive step back this year to what he was last year, so that helps you a lot too. And you have a guy that's done this before, that's done this song and dance, and has gone to a Super Bowl, won a championship in college football last year in this stadium that he's going to play in on Saturday. A lot of things go for the Chargers' favor, right? And, that being said, I still think it's going to be a tough game for him. I think it's going to be a very, very close game, especially with who the Chargers possibly could have out. Looks like Joshua Palmer is not going to play. Quinn Johnston actually did not practice yesterday. So if those two guys are out, you're going to have to really lean on Ladd McConkey and probably their tight ends options and Will Dissly with the way the Texans really struggle to cover the middle of the field. But the thing that's nice for the Chargers is they've always found ways to win. And if you look at this matchup too with the Texans, they have the worst red zone offense in the NFL. Guess who has the best red zone defense? Los Angeles Chargers. Something's going to give, right? And what's going to give is 3 damn points. That's what's going to give. So that really helps them out. And then, in the next round, you look at they face the Kansas City Chiefs. And I know you would think you don't want to face Patrick Mahomes in the second round. You don't want any of that action. Well, if I'm a team that, this is going to piss off Lonzo. If I'm a team that's already faced the Chiefs twice and I get a third knock at it, and I have a QB that's top 5 in the NFL, and I have a very, very good head coach, and I have a good system around that, I would be fine with facing them a third time in the second round. I would take that over, actually, to be honest with you guys, going to a Buffalo and facing the Bills for a first time. I would take that familiarity. I would take that rivalry. Anything can happen. That's the route I'd rather go. So I think the Chargers have a favorable route. Now, am I saying they're going to make the AFC Championship, go into Super Bowl? No. I don't think that's going to happen. But that route of all the teams in the AFC that if you're looking at wild card and, you don't want to look at the Ravens or Bills, I think not the Chiefs. I think the Chargers are right there, right behind them, itching for a run.
I don't know why I'm going to be mad about a team facing the Chiefs that hasn't beat them this year. I mean,
That's a good argument too. That's a good argument too.
I mean, and the team really well, so you don't have. I know it goes both ways, but you know the team really well, and you beat them twice already this year.
And you have, it's an Arrowhead, and you have the cold weather, which all goes in your favor. It does go both ways. I completely agree. Like, I get the other sentiment to this as well, but I'm thinking too, if I'm in that Charger locker room, I'm going, all right, they got us twice. They ain't going to get a third lick in, or it's time that we deliver.
All this is disrespectful. I'm going to let them know.
To the Baltimore Ravens, who take on the Steelers at 8 p.m. on Saturday. This of the first round matchups to me is the biggest layup. I mean, the Steelers team got their 10 wins. They kept the Tomlin win streak alive. And then for whatever reason, they have just fallen off a cliff since then. Is there any hope for the Pittsburgh Steelers in this weekend? Because my answer is absolutely not.
Like, not even if George Pickens finds his hands and he's able to catch a ball, it just doesn't matter. Like, the Steelers team, you kind of hinted at it, Rob. This is the Tomlin team that kind of, I think, reached their peak, and their peak was this, and then now it's just been downfall. And it doesn't help that they're facing Ravens team who's defensively, they're starting to really figure it out and put it together. You have a very strong rush attack that's coming at you with Derrick Henry. Lamar Jackson is going to expose you in every which way. Zay Flowers is still day-to-day, but I don't even think they need Zay to win this game. Steelers are one of the worst defenses facing the tight ends. I was talking to Mark DeFabo last night of The Athletic, who's the Steelers beat writer, and he goes, look, I'm terrified of Mark Andrews. Just because Zay's out, we struggle to cover the tight end so much. You expect Mark Andrews to have a great day on us, and he probably will with how much they know each other. And you have to be in Baltimore. That's a very hard place to play. And you have a Harbaugh, you have Lamar. The Steelers are just outmatched. They're in purgatory. And like you said, this is the time of year where they lay an egg, and it's time. They're going to lay it.
And now, a Rob Brown logo.
I don't know what's I do know what's happening. Nope, that's on me. Wait. That's an autoplay. That's an autoplay from my own website. That's my bad. That's my bad, America. Lonzo, you may whatever our version of noob me is, you may do that.
Nah,
Yay!
That shouldn't count. That should not count.
Absolutely counts.
Okay, fine.
Absolutely counts.
Yeah, then your doing what you just did should count too.
Okay, that's fair. All right, let's take a look at the Sunday matchups. Hatin Ass Mario, when we flip it on over to the other side of the equation, we'll actually start. There is one more AFC game. That's the Bills taking on the Denver Broncos. Listen, I owe Bo Nix an apology. I thought Captain Checkdown was going to be a waste of time. I'm not apologizing to Sean Payton. I'm not there yet, but I mean, I think at the end of the day, this is kind of one of those spots that sometimes I don't have to overthink it. The Buffalo Bills are just the better team behind Josh Allen.
And expect a lot of checkdowns come Sunday, right? Like, I think that's all Bo Nix is going to do in this game versus the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, I think it's going to be kind of a shellacking. I think Buffalo is going to come out there and really stomp on them. I always have a thing, don't really trust rookie QBs. Also, Bo Nix has played very well, but he's not a rookie QB that's going to win you a game. See, similar to having a similar type of great season that Mac Jones had. I'm not saying he's going to end up beating Mac Jones, but in terms of game managing really well, making plays when he needs to, and he has a strong support system around him, so it's just working in the moment. I think against Buffalo Bills, especially against a quarterback like Josh Allen, you got to have a guy that can just make a play whenever you need to make a play, and Bo Nix is at that. I think the Bills shellac him, and the Bills move on. That's a could get ugly game. That's a, hey, boyfriend, hey, girlfriend, it's halftime. What, do you want to go get groceries? Do you want to go, go get a coffee, get some brownie points game?
What you're saying is maybe what a lot of Buffalo players are saying. And then you turn around and Denver ends up winning the game. And if that were to happen, will you guys be willing to say that Josh Allen is a bust?
Josh Allen's not a bust.
How many playoff games?
You're the only person I know.
How many playoff games has he won?
A lot of playoff games, just not against you. You're the only person who thinks Josh Allen's a bust.
I don't think he's won a lot of playoff games.
Okay, so
That's
you
crazy
lose to
talk,
the
right?
GOAT?
That's crazy
yeah,
talk.
That's insanity. So,
Okay.
So you lose to the GOAT, and then you lose to one of the best offensive
Bust.
minds in football.
Bust. If he loses to Denver, he's a bust.
Well, if he
I
loses
bet-
to Denver, we'll have the conversation. But
Right, that's what
he's
it's-
not losing to
we'll-
Denver.
He's not
we'll
losing
see.
to Denver at home. He's
Yeah.
not even going to lose to Baltimore in the next round.
Yeah, I would go on that roll. All right, we got 3 more games. We got
I can't
about 2
wait
minutes to
till
knock
I
them
can't
out.
wait till next week when Denver beats.
Okay, fine.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
if Buffalo beats him by 21 points, are you going to go, oh, maybe he's not a bust. Maybe he actually is really good?
No, he still has to
Okay,
make it to
exactly.
the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Yeah,
There's
still has to make it to
nothing
the
he
Super
can
Bowl.
do to appease. If he beats Mahomes in the AFC title game, Lonzo will have a reason he's still a bust.
Well, here's the thing:
See?
he will still have to win the Super Bowl because that's something that they have never.
Okay,
done.
but if he beats Mahomes, Mahomes is a bust.
I don't understand
Yeah,
the
exactly.
logic.
Yeah, neither do I. I
Yeah,
get
yeah,
it.
If he beats-
That's the
Your
point.
question makes no sense.
If he beats Lamar next round, is Lamar a bust?
He's not going to beat Lamar.
There it is.
Oh, okay. So then we're playing that game.
Yeah, no. I've
Okay.
already said that Buffalo can't beat Baltimore. So,
But
we'll see.
but is Lamar a bust? Because look at his playoffs.
These guys, unfortunately, are in an era of a quarterback who may go down as the greatest.
So,
of all
it's
time.
okay for
So-
Lamar, but if
There
Josh
you go.
loses to that guy, he's a bust.
No. Here's
Let's
the
make sure we're on the same path
Here's
here.
the thing: every player on that team is a bust if they can't make it to the Super Bowl and win. If you played in the
Same with
league,
Baltimore.
if you played in the league and you never made it and won a Super Bowl like Dan Marino, whoever that is, definitely a bust.
My favorite part is everything you say about Buffalo and Allen, you have to say about Baltimore and Lamar.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's the same situation.
Okay.
Okay. Long as we're on the same page there.
Okay. Well, I can't say the coach can't get it done because he's won before.
All right, real quick, let's run through the last 3 games. I have gone on and said already the Commanders are my wild card pick to move on.
Okay, the only thing that scares me about the Commanders is their defense. 16th in opponent yards per play. You're 18th in points allowed. You're 30th against the run. And then you face Bucky Irving, who's been exceptional this year.
He's a dog.
And then that secondary is pretty good. But at home versus on the road, there's an 80-plus passing yard increase on the road for the Commanders. And then you face Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans. That's what worries me a little bit.
Who's Washington's quarterback?
Okay, who's Baker's
Say his
having
name.
best year?
Say his
Jaden
name.
Daniels.
Dog.
And,
That's all I need.
and then he'll be on vacation next week.
Not a chance. I'm going to go Washington. Upset win. Rams, Vikings. I think Sam Darnold lost the mojo last week. I think he's going to look much like Sean McVay watched what Detroit did to Sam Darnold and goes, hey, guys, we're just going to do that. We're just going to attack. We're going to blitz 60% of the time. We're going to hustle Sam Darnold to make him make mistakes. Sam Darnold was inaccurate on like 52% of his passes last week. That is tragic for any NFL quarterback. I think Sam Darnold got figured out, and I think the Rams take advantage. Give me the Rams to move on.
I'm on the Rams too with this. I'm going to take out last week's game because it was a preseason game for the Rams. But before that, their last 3, 6 points, 9 points, 9 points. That's what their defense was allowing. Then they just see the blueprint on Sam Darnold and how to beat them. I think Justin Jefferson, by the way, still has a pretty big game in this. But they have that. The Rams also get a lot of rest. Like I said, like a lot of the guys were out last week. They just rested them. And Vikings played a playoff game last week against the best team, arguably in the NFL. They're going to be a little more tired. They're going to be more banged up, and Sean McVay is going to be at home, and that's a more experienced guy in the playoffs than Kevin O'Connell. I think the Rams take out the Vikings too as well. Rams could be a sneaky team in the NFC.
I agree. That was me and Decker's pick. Same thing. All right, last one, Eagles, Packers. I don't know if I'm the only person. I got zero belief in the Packers. I don't think they're that good. They haven't beat a playoff team this season. I don't expect them to start, whether or not Jalen Hurts is there. I think the Eagles just stuff the ball over and over, keep Jordan Love off the field. I don't believe in the Packers at all. Give me Philly to cover 4.5.
I like that too, and I'm also really nervous because Jordan Love keeps like hinting that he's like hopefully going to play. Like, he doesn't sound very confident that he's going to be out there on Sunday, and if he is, how good is he going to be? How active is he going to be in the passing game? Because you're going to need to be active against the Philadelphia Eagles. I like the Eagles to really take him out here because I was really looking forward to this game, but with the health concerns around Love, man, I don't trust it. So give me Philly.
Same boat. Hatin' Ass Mario.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Mario owes me a thank you because the first time in the history of his appearances on this program, you and he were on the same side.
That's true.
Against me, passionately against me. And since you're always going at Mario, you're welcome, Mario.
Thank you. Thank you. And I hope that Josh Allen makes it to the Super Bowl this year.
He's going to be insufferable if he doesn't. You know that?
I know. He's going to be such a pain.
Mario Heron, a.k.a. Hatin Ass Mario, the executive producer of BetMGM tonight, which you can hear every single weekday from 7 to 11 right here on this very station, and find Odyssey stations everywhere. Dude, thanks for coming by, buddy. Talk to you next week when we move on out of the Super Wildcard Weekend.
Hey, always a pleasure. And God bless everyone. This is the best 4 days of sports.
I wish you would have said God bless us, everyone. That would have been perfect.
What?
Goodbye, Mario.
Little bless up.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Don't.
It's just so random and out of left field.
I know. It felt right in the moment.
See you next week. We'll see how you feel in that moment. That's Mario Heron, a.k.a. Hatin Ass Mario, from the BetQL Network. When we come back, we talk a little wrestling on Fight Club on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Opinions, analysis, and entertainment all rolled into one.
By the way, how much do you love the Raw on Netflix? Is that pretty big?
Oh, C&Q?
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure. We're about to talk about Raw on Netflix. I enjoyed it at the start and had a lot of head scratching at the end.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a lot of negativity about it.
A lot of criticism about it. Yeah, but that is going to be from two dudes who love wrestling. If you're like a casual wrestling fan, you probably thought it was great. So this is going to be the spot where Lonzo and I nerd out for about 15 minutes.
There you go. Someone's got to do it.
So,
as opposed to any other time, because we
that's
never
also
do
fair.
that. Yeah,
that's also fair. All right, big dog. Appreciate you, brother.
Powered by Ingles.
See you next week.
Prices, love the savings.
Hey, college football.
I didn't mean to run, but I got to pee.
That's fine. By the way, Blue Cane, CJ Stroud is not the quarterback for Pittsburgh. It's let's ride. And also, James, you heard the same thing I did. What the heck was that? I mean, they both went at me, didn't they? It was violent.
Who do you like in this one? Personally, I think Notre Dame wins and covers the spread. Penn State, a very explosive offense.
And now I have another button that I can push.
Will be a little too much in the end. What do you think? This is Cole from Wire to Wire.
Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson.
This afternoon, 3 to 7 on the Fan. Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, and on the Odyssey app.
Ingles Markets is a proud sponsor of the Wire to Wire Sports Spin. From the playing field to the stands to your own living room, Ingles Markets has everything you need to fuel your athlete or satisfy all the hungry fans in your life. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
There's a large group of people in America
Completely agree.
who like bourbon. Almost all of America.
Rob
likes
does
bacon.
not.
Let's
He
put
will
those two things together,
go ahead and let
shall
him know,
we?
Moles. He will definitely defend his guy. Let's ride.
Bourbon and bacon.
Because I still contend he's been overrated his entire career. And look at what Denver's doing when he left. Look at what Pittsburgh's doing now that he's there.
Judson Mill, you are going to be able to
sooner or later, you got to look and go, hey, maybe Russell Wilson's the problem.
To sample bacon-centric dishes from some of the most talented culinary artists in the upstate. And
thanks, Steven. But see, the majority of the show, it's been that way. So, oops.
There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance, but if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos.
He'll notice 10 minutes from now, and then he'll go on defense about his guy.
Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Russell Wilson, who had a perfect situation in Seattle, went to Denver, couldn't do anything. Look at what Denver's doing now. Went to Pittsburgh and has managed to ruin that team. He's the problem, without a doubt. It's not Ice Mageddon. It's Snow Mageddon 2025, Stephen. Be prepared. Welcome into the Fight Club, where normally we just praise things and like, oh, that was great. That was wonderful. That was awesome. And there was so much build up for Raw on Netflix. But as a wrestling fan, I got to say it was pretty meh. And I'm a little disappointed in that. I think venue may have a lot to do with it, where they were and how they try to cater to the stars that were in the building and all that kind of stuff. But before we get to all that, can Dwayne just leave? Can we just get rid of him? I joked about this the other day that he is the new Vince McMahon. He absolutely is the new Vince McMahon. He shows up, talks about himself, doesn't do anything. And then not only did he do that Monday, he addressed what he didn't do on Monday, on Tuesday, on NXT, and wasted like 8 or 9 minutes of developmental talent who could have had some prime wrestling time. Dwayne just needs to go away. And then he bought more shares and then bragged about it that he's the boss. He is the new Vince McMahon.
So listen, I'm going to start with Raw, and I'll try to run through this quickly. I'm going to start with Raw. Why did we have Dwayne show up and be if you're going to have him be corporate Dwayne, then put him in a black suit and have him be corporate Dwayne. But you're going to tell me that after we spent 9 months leading up to last WrestleMania, where he was the final boss and he was literally beating Cody Rhodes with a belt to the point of being bloody and giving that bloody belt to his mother in the front of the audience, that they're just good now? They're hugging it out in the front row. They're chugging vodka together. And by the way, while I am not anti-imbibery, I'm a drinker. I acknowledge it. I don't know that Dwayne pounding vodka and then just hopping into his truck and driving away is necessary. Like, even I'm like, guys, like maybe they're like maybe some young impressionable minds.
I did not even think about that. That's a good point.
Right? Like even I'm a drinker. I acknowledge it. I love a little brown liquor here and there. But like even I was like, maybe don't have him pound the vodka and then just immediately hop in the truck to take off. Like that's a bad look even from somebody who likes to go to the bar. Why did we have Dwayne show up and completely do like 70% of the WrestleMania storyline and have Cody Rhodes just be cool with it? Then I have him come out. And again, I don't mind him. I believe that's the first time The Rock's been on NXT. I get it. You have to. NXT is a TV program. Yes, it's developmental. Yes, we care about, Trick and Obafemi and all these guys getting their time to develop and get ready to move up. But it is still a TV show that does still have to pump ratings, and having The Rock show up as a guaranteed ratings generator. I don't mind that. What I mind is either you're a character in the show, Dwayne, either you're The Rock, the final boss, or you're Dwayne Johnson, the guy who has a vested interest in this company, who's out there doing the chee-hoo stuff to get the fans to love you. But you gotta pick one. And to have that sudden switch without it touching a storyline that was the storyline leading up to the last WrestleMania didn't make any sense at all. And when you get to even Rob Brown, who likes to suspend disbelief and just be a wrestling fan to turn the brain off and enjoy it, when you get to the point that you disrupt that, you're creating a problem.
Yeah, I do believe, and it's probably not a direct quote, when he was on NXT, he said that he was, to all the people complaining about it, he's playing 4D chess, I think is what he said.
Yeah, that's the expression that the internet has latched onto when people do things that don't make any sense. People rush to defend them by saying, "Oh, you wouldn't understand. You just don't see the plan." We do it for celebrities, musicians, politicians. When they go out and they grab a mic and they say something that is genuinely dumb and doesn't make sense, their followers rush to go, "Oh, they're playing 4D chess." You person who is criticizing them, you're just too dumb to understand it. Yeah, here's the thing. I'm a wrestling fan. For like 6 to 8 hours a week, I choose to be dumb and watch wrestling. I acknowledge it's dumb, yet it's an art form. I want to be the dumb fan that likes everything I really do. So when you were able to move past that bumper and make me go, I can't choose to be dumb and make up a reason to like this, that's where you've caused a problem. And I'm worried that Dwayne becomes in real life what Triple H and Stephanie were back in the day when they were running the authority angle, which was a great angle because it was in the kayfabe. The problem is we know Dwayne's not in that kayfabe. He is so corporatized now. He ain't The Rock anymore. He's Dwayne. That's why I call him Dwayne. He's so corporatized and image forward now that it ruins him showing up in a ring, which is sad.
See, the thing about bringing a scenario back, I don't have a problem with that because it's like someone redoing a song, and then people heard it when they were kids, so automatically they like it again. Bringing back a scenario that worked a long time ago is fine for people who weren't cognitive enough to understand it when it first happened.
If you're going to run the authority angle, you have to be a heel. There's no face corporation. You're never going to see a guy come out and talk about profit margins and shareholder
he can
value.
Save that if he wants, because all you need is some backstage cameras having him be in the exact opposite. So then he's public face, backstage heel, and then I think it works. Yeah,
you haven't done that. You've given me, there was one spot where you got like Dwayne the wrestler, which is when he faced down All Ego Ethan Page. And let's be real, that guy's the most ruthless heel on any roster right now that WWE owns. If you're going to do the Rock cares about shareholder value now, especially in 2025, if you're going to do a shareholder value angle, it must be a heel. Steve Austin was big because he stood up to the boss, which is... We want to put ourselves into a character's shoes. We want to see ourselves in there, and that's why we connect to wrestling so much. People love Punk because they connect to the concept of being a punk, being different, whatever. Dwayne can't go, I'm here to be WWE corporate frontman, and also cheer me as a face. That's only going to last for the initial pop. If he's going to keep showing up on Raw and NXT moving forward, he's either got to be the heel or get the hell out of the way.
And do you think that hurt Ava, him being on NXT? Because he had to come down and say, hey, if you mess with my daughter, you mess with me, basically?
It kind of fit like, right? All right. So one of the other things that we collectively as a society don't like are what? The boss's kid. The boss's kid who gets the job because he's the boss's kid. The boss's job that keeps the job because they're the boss's kid. We hate it worse when and only when what? The boss actively engages themselves in their kid. When I worked for my dad, when I was a teenager, like 14, 15, my dad sent me down to the filing office of his mortgage company, and I never talked to him. And when I did, I had to call him Mr. Brown, and nobody kicked my ass more than my old man, which is the only reason I got on there. If Rock shows up and starts protecting her in spots like that with ego, what does he do? He chops the legs out from under her. They're going to go, I don't respect Ava Raine. I'm only doing this because Dwayne is here right now. Now, maybe that's the angle, but if that's the angle, you are not only in a position where you must make The Rock heel, you're a position where you got to make Ava heel too, and that's not good to me.
Well, they can save a little bit of face by making it that he's the one who beat up Eddie Thorpe and not Obafemi, because there's no visual. And if they showed that, then he'd come down and beat up the guy that actually hit his daughter. That I'm okay with, but and Ethan Page going toe to toe with The Rock shows how strong Ethan Page really is.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that, but I think you've still got to have a world. No, you're not creating a world where shareholder Rock is a good guy. You can't do it.
All right, let's jump to another movie star coming back. By the way, and The Rock, what's he done? I mean, in the last 10 years or so. In the ring, what's he done?
You had the tag match at Mania, which they won, and then you had the concept of the final boss, which he's the linchpin that held what I thought was a great WrestleMania main event together. That's not the same without The Rock being a bad guy there. But then his very next appearance, he shows up and he's like, I love Cody Rhodes. Oh, you mean the guy that you actively threw into a tour bus and beat the crap out of? What, a year ago? Now you guys are cool? It makes no sense.
All right, I have a theory here, and it's probably already a popular theory, but I just haven't seen it yet. My theory is that Ric Flair is training right now to do one more match because John Cena is getting the belt. And he cannot, even though Ric Flair should never be in the ring again, he can't fathom the idea of him being replaced while he's still alive.
I think Ric Flair, you know what Ric Flair is? Ric Flair is what like Bear Bryant was, Bobby Bowden was. That's all they know. And when they don't have that anymore, they have nothing. And if you have nothing, what's your push to go on? And I think that's where we are. I don't think Ric Flair knows any different. And on top of that, and I say this lovingly, when Ric Flair showed up at AEW for a little while there, like it wasn't the same, right? And I'm an AEW guy. I wanted to succeed. But when Ric Flair showed up there, he was doing what? He was hyping his energy drink, which you have not heard of since then. Nobody sells it. Nobody carries it. Nobody cares. That's all he's got left. And the problem is WWE's not putting him in a ring. AEW's not putting him in a ring. They don't want to be the corporation that literally has Ric Flair die in a ring. So he's going to go do this on some indie show. But here's the problem. Like a band who does their, for real this time, farewell tour, but they go on farewell tours every year. Nobody cares anymore. Like, nobody has done more damage, in my opinion, to Ric Flair's image in the last 3 years than Ric Flair.
Do you really swerve the audience if Cena doesn't win the belt?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
So you think he can go the entire year of his farewell tour and not win the belt and it'll be okay?
Well, first off, they say farewell tour. WrestleMania is in 4 months.
Right. He's doing an entire year.
I mean, that's fair, but like, what's he going to do? Is it, so here's my question. Does he win the belt at WrestleMania? Do you take the belt off of Cody Rhodes? If so, what do you do with Cody Rhodes? Do you take the belt off of?
He didn't say which belt.
That's also true.
And I mean,
but the record is heavyweight champion, not all the belts combined champion. It's heavyweight. So if he's going to set the record, he has to become the champion.
Well, it could be. I think it could be Gunther, and it works just as well because Ric Flair didn't win all of his championships in the WWE.
I understand, but they were all heavyweight championships. These aren't intercontinental. They're not American champions.
No. He has to win one of the big belts. I don't think he has to win Cody's belt. So I think he could win Gunther's belt,
and that's fine. But then again, what do you do with that? All you're doing at that point is you let Cena carry it, get the record, and then he gives his rub to whom? Do you give it right back to Gunther and go, okay, what was the point of that? Do you give it to LA Knight and let him ride that? Like, what do you do with that rocket? And the answer is, I don't know. I'll say this. If anybody that's active right now, of all the legends that are coming back, I don't think anybody deserves that opportunity more than John Cena does. But then what am I doing with it? I don't know that they're thinking that far out, but I could be wrong.
It's pretty easy. He wins it, then Randy Orton takes it away from him.
Are we turning back to Kevin Owens, Randy Orton at that point? Right? You see what I'm saying? Like,
hopefully.
I think that
would be a year-long thing. Why not?
That's fair. We'll see.
They pretty much plan ahead. And yes, Tom, we know it's not real. It's an art form. It is a soap opera for men. They're athletes. And what I think is funny is people still do the, hey, wrestling's real, unreal, right?
9,000th time. Everything that is not a sport, and some of them that are a sport that's on TV, is also fake.
Especially, like The Bachelor and all those reality shows.
Tom, we're not idiots. We just like entertainment. That's all. Relax. Good job getting your show name on my show, by the way. Well done. That's good marketing.
I could have ignored it, but I think it's fun.
I don't care. Get the ride the rocket, baby. The Rob Brown Show is on top. 3-time South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year. If you can use me to get yourself some shine, good luck. Good luck.
And let's do one more on our way out to break. Let's mix genres here. All right. It's out there that the one of the stars of Wicked wants to be the next Storm. How do they not make Jade Cargill Storm in the X-Men? How do they not do that?
I mean, honestly, that's about as good of a casting as you could ask.
She's already doing the character basically. Yeah. Some acting lessons would help her out. And how much does she really have to talk as Storm?
I mean, enough. That character is so beloved that I think there's enough that she would have to do as an actress. I'll say this. I don't think the Jade Cargill problem has necessarily been on the mic. I think it's just been she's a relatively stiff wrestler, but they don't use her as like pure muscle. I'm going to punch you in the face until you fall down. They try to make her like an all-around wrestler. And it's like, that woman is chiseled out of granite.
Are they worried
about throw people into the roof?
Are they worried about China comparisons or Glamazon comparisons?
No, I don't think so, because she's a different kind of built, right? Like China and Beth Phoenix were both like stocky, but Jade is again a Greek goddess. Just let her be her. But I can absolutely see her being cast as Storm. My question is, what are we doing with the X-Men? Give me more Gambit. All right, that's a nerd crossover I didn't think was going to happen, but here we are. Kane says, Tom, you know Spider-Man isn't real, right?
You take that back, James.
Oh, man. All right, come back, wrap the show up. Last chance to vote. How many local sporting events do you go to a week? None? Some? Many? Or all? Text your answer to 844-326-3663. We will talk about that when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
I don't know if you remember, Kane. They let Solo tear Cena up.
They did.
And Solo up and coming. He really is. There's some other guys that think it. There's some guy. I think the guy who just lost the championship, who is also a South Carolina Gamecock, that would be a fun match to him. And the fact that Cena has already given him advice down on NXT before. I think that would be kind of fun. Braun Breaker versus Cena. He doesn't really need the rub, but still it would be good. I think in the end, though, Cena, most of his stuff is going to be probably nostalgia matches. Guys that he really had good matches with before that are still there. Has he ever wrestled Seth Rollins? Maybe back in the Shield days. I don't remember.
Scent of Game Planes. Try Game Planes with OxyBoost and Febreze. When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on many great candidates? It seems impossible to find them. Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go. ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day.
That is one thing that is really interesting is WWE has not done a fantastic job of developing and pushing truly young talent. Because how many NXT guys have come up white hot and then just like disappeared?
Braun Breaker is a champion right now.
Braun Breaker is like the exception, though. Who else on the main roster?
Gunther.
Towards the top of the card.
I mean, Gunther was in NXT UK for a while, then in
That's
NXT.
true, but I would also argue, like, I could have made the argument that aside from being, I don't want to say overweight, but thick with 2 C's, Gunther came over main event ready. Right? Like, how many guys truly got developed via NXT by WWE have come up and are top of the card right now?
Seth Rollins. I mean, listen,
I wouldn't even say I would declare Seth as an NXT guy.
Well, he was FCW into NXT. Wasn't he an NXT champion? Was he? I don't know.
Yes, but I think he had a quick run through it.
Kevin Owens was in NXT.
Owens, and I guess you could say Sami Zayn if you wanted to, but I wouldn't even say.
Here's the thing. For a while, it was crops of guys that came over, and now it's kind of sporadic.
I would also argue the 3 guys you just named have been on the main roster for literally years.
Right. DIY.
Fair. Okay, DIY is probably a fair argument.
But because they didn't, bring like 10 or 15 people in. Tiffy time. She's now the champion. She was there. And also the 4 horsewomen, all from NXT.
I was watching Saturday, Sunday. I was going back and I was finishing up SmackDown when Tiffy Time cashed in. And I quite literally.
Oh, it was a good swerve, too.
I quite literally yelled, "It's Tiffy Time." Courtney was on the couch while I'm watching. And she's like, "I don't understand." And I'm like, "Why?" And she goes, "You think Rhea Ripley's hot?" And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "And you think this chick's hot?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she goes, "So you just think hot women are hot?" And I was like, "I don't know what to tell you. The 2 most opposite women in the world are also the 2 most attractive people on this roster." Yes. I don't know what to tell you.
And by the way, Kane, no offense to Ring of Honor, which still exists, but who watches it? No
He's
one,
got a point.
no one really watched Ring of Honor.
I don't disagree, but that's not the point. The point is, I could make the argument that Ring of Honor has been as successful as a WWE. Finn Balor. I can make the argument that Ring of Honor has been as successful as a developmental program for WWE as NXT.
How many guys through the history have just came in and only went to WWE? There hasn't really been
Since
that
the
many.
NXT era, few. But again, I would not argue that Gunther
Which
or
is
Seth
why they
or
also
Kevin
have
Owens
that,
or Sami Zayn were made by NXT.
That new program for the indies too, so they can do that. I mean,
All right, we asked the question this AM. How many local sporting events do you go to per month? The options were none, some, many, or all. Do you go to none? You don't care. You're not interested. Do you go to some? One, maybe two a month because you're bored or it's available and there's nothing else to do. Do you go to many, as in like it's a part of your rotation? Maybe you don't go to every game, but you're like, it's Saturday. There's nothing going on. Let's go to a Triumph game. The Bits are playing. Let's go up to the well. The Drive got a couple of homers this week. Let's hit a couple of baseball games. Maybe you go because, you like hitting Thursdays at Floor when it's dollar beers or whatever. Or do you go to all? You're crazy about them. You're a season ticket holder to one or multiple local teams. Even if you're not, you hit games whenever you can. Here is the final vote tally. Of the votes cast, Lonzo, we had an equal number of votes say 0 or some. Like I go to one if I'm bored. We had 14% of the fans say they go to many local contests, and 0% of our fans say crazy about them. Now, I do have to acknowledge that this is obviously a very small sample size because as somebody who works for and is I think, very visible supporter of all of the local teams, specifically the 3 here in the Ville, and I will tell you that I'll be over in the Berg for many a Spartanburger game too. As somebody who loves and supports local sports, I would say that this poll is not correct. Because I know for a fact that there are at least a couple hundred Greenville Triumph season ticket holders. Many of them have become some of my best friends in this area. I know for a fact that there are Greenville Swamp Rabbit season ticket holders. I'm at every game. I talk to them. I know for a fact that there are Drive season ticket holders. There are luxury box ticket holders at the Greenville Drive. But I also recognize that it's not the majority of the area. So I would say these numbers are skewed. The fact that we got 0 votes that say crazy about them, when I know that season ticket holders exist for all of the local teams, that season ticket holders exist for Furman and Wofford, etc., I'm going to say it's skewed, but I am also going to say, great one, it's not, I don't think, too far off from reality. I do think it is off. I do think I would say probably like maybe 1 to 2% of the area is, crazy about local sports, like fans, like season ticket holders, like go to multiple games a month. But I don't think it's more than like a few percentage points. I also believe that, unfortunately or not, the a solid majority of fans are either none, I don't go to any, or maybe I go to like one a month. I believe that. I believe that wholeheartedly. I have said for years, I've said it here, I've said it everywhere. I genuinely believe that sports are a building block of the foundation of a community. And I'm talking about Little League because sports helps form kids. It teaches them the life lessons of teamwork and perseverance and working through adversity and winning with grace and humility, losing with grace and humility. I think it teaches you those life lessons. Then you go up to high school, middle school, high school. That is where you learn to make friends. You learn to use sports when sports starts becoming, we're keeping score. Yeah, you're going to lose. Yeah, you might be on a real bad team and you got to learn how to fight through that. Up through high school, which I think teaches you civic pride and community pride in representing who you are, what you represent, the people you represent when you put on those colors in that uni, where you come from, yada, yada, yada. And then all the way up through college, all the way up through our professional teams, man. I go home to Florida, and when I go home to Florida, I rep my Greenville Triumph gear. I rep my Swamp Rabbit gear, my Drive gear. I rep that even when I'm not here because I want people to know I come from Greenville, South Carolina, and I'm damn proud of that. But I also agree that it's probably, honestly, 43% say 0% or none. 43% said some if I'm bored. That means 86% of y'all who voted said you go to 0 to maybe 1 or 2 local events a year. And that doesn't shock me all that much. It really doesn't. It's unfortunate in my opinion, but I get it. I understand it. Yeah, we'll go early today. That kind of does that bum you out at all? It kind of bums me out a little bit. I don't know why.
I don't either.
I love local sports.
So when you go to these events, there's only like 15 people there.
No, that's why I know this poll is skewed. Like
So-
Saturday night, we got a country music concert after the hockey game, and I know they're going to put 8,000 in that building. That's a good number. I know I go to Triumph games. I know just the Reedy River Riot alone has upwards of 100 season ticket members, of which I am one. I know that there is a representation, but I also know, as we have said 100 times, Lonzo, we're in a 1 million person market. We are a top 70 market in the United States.
And growing.
We'll be top 50 in the next 5 years. We are in a huge market. So that is why I believe that number is probably closer to like 1 or 2% than 0, but it is still 1 or 2%. I don't know why it bums me out. I think it's because I love local sports so much, but it does.
All right. The first thing that's Xing is Jessica Alba.
Jessica Alba. I don't know or care why Jessica Alba is trending. Jessica Alba should be trending all day, every day.
All right. So it's not a thing that you should be happy about unless you're a single guy and she's back on the market.
Back on the market.
She just got a divorce. It's weird. She's trending and it's one of those things where they were on X. It shows them when they're like 18 to 20 and how she's one of those people who never changes. She looks the same.
She does look the
and
same.
She's in her 40s and she looks the same.
Yep. Jessica Alba was she was the it girl for a hot minute there back in the early 2000s. Played Miss Fantastic in the OG Final Four movie. It was not good. Played the OG Final Four.
Fantastic Four, not Final Four.
Sorry, Fantastic Four. Very different franchise. But yeah, man. So I'm sorry to hear that about Jessica Alba.
But if you guys are out there and you're eligible,
Shoot your shot, young man.
Dude. Do it. I mean,
Shoot your shot, young
work for
bucks.
Travis Kelce.
There was a video like a year or two at an NBA game where Jessica Alba walks by, and I don't remember who it was, but it was like an NFL player, an older NFL player and a younger NFL player, and you can see on the video they caught him. He like hits and he like points at Jessica. It's like, that's Jessica Alba. And the young guy was like, who's Jessica Alba? And there was this huge thing for a while about how you can draw the divide in generations, not by music, not by whatever. You can draw the divide in generation based on like what young attractive females in movies we were attracted to. And Jessica Alba was for those of us that are now in our late 30s, early 40s. And you were in the next generation if you looked and went, who's Jessica Alba?
All right. The next thing is Xing is Tony Khan.
Tony Khan is Xing because AEW is for the record, I thought Fight for the Fallen was pretty good. I thought that little week of shows they had was pretty good. Now they keep it up. Does this have to do with Aleister Black?
No, but last night, by the way, last night's show was pretty good.
I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah. No, this has to do with your boy Mad Dog Russo.
Oh.
Who earlier this week destroyed in his way Tony Khan and his dad over the handling of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I'm okay with that. Because honestly, the Jags are a dumpster fire right now. I'm okay with that.
He calls Tony the kid.
I honestly, I'm okay with that. Right? Because at the end of the day, let's call it a buck. Tony Khan isn't anything special. He's a guy that won the genetic lottery and was born to a billionaire who has so much money, he doesn't care what his son does with it. I mean this. If I was born to a billionaire, I also would have started a wrestling company, and it would have been better than AEW.
But this has to do with Jacksonville, who he's very involved with. Tony Khan.
Yeah, no, he is. He's not the GM, but he's like assistant to the GM for the Jags. And again, the Jags have been a dumpster fire for, I don't know, since Fast Freddie Taylor left, since Mark Brunell left.
All right, the next thing is Xing is Paris Hilton.
By the way, where the hell did Paris Hilton come from? Like she ruled the world for a while back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Then she disappeared for 20 years. Now she's got music and cooking wear and clothes, and she's all over my social media. Like Paris Hilton disappeared for 2 decades, and now she's back to being queen of the world again.
I think she might be a mom now. That's not why she's exiting, though. She just lost her home, along with Billy Crystal and Eugene Levy and John Goodman. These are all names. James Woods. I mean, there are all these big name actors who've lost their homes in the California fires.
Yeah, let's. I want to say this, and I want to say if there's one thing I am serious about when I say to this today, I do not care that you are different from that region politically or geophysically or whatever it is. This situation is sad. And at some point, even if it's not for the celebrities, Paris Hilton's got money to replace her home. James Woods has got money to replace his homes. There are people over there that are hurt. There are people that are over there that are not movie stars, that this is a devastating issue to. At some point, we are going to be called to mobilize to help. Just like people got called to mobilize to help after Helene hit here, we are going to be called to mobilize to help. And I hope that you will put aside your political differences, your philosophical differences, and when fellow Americans need help, as we have always done, let's rally and help. That's it for us, y'all. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for being here. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. We'll see you back here tomorrow to do it all over again, but better on the Friday edition of the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Later. Yep, and those are the people, Blue Cane. Those are the people that we will mobilize for. Those are the people we will try to help. It's tragic.
You know, and even if these guys and are rich, they still have memories and a bunch of stuff in their homes that they're losing.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not good, and that's a really, really big fire too.
Yeah, it's fires, and they are massive, and we are far from done with it. That is true. All right, dudes, I got a jet. I hope you all have a lovely day. Thanks for being here. We will see you all back here tomorrow. Tell your friends about us. We're trying to get rich and famous. Lonzo wants to be an A-lister and live in Malibu.
All right, one last thing. So we both got Penn State tonight.
Yes, I'm going Penn State tonight. I am going Penn State tonight. I'm going Ohio State to cover. Yeah. Yes, but Penn State tonight. Enjoy the game. We will talk about it tomorrow. Thanks for being here. Goodbye.